The following program recognizes the importance of women's voices in our society. It goes without saying that women contribute invaluable ideas and perspectives that benefit us all. No persons or groups should mistake a thumbnail depicting tape on Amber Heard's mouth labeled "Shut Her Up" as an affront to women or any statement other than a call to stop one person from defaming another. We are all on the same page about women's rights. Let's all relax and not twist this into a display of misogyny. Please just put away the pitchforks and torches, go back to the kitchen, and make me a sandwich. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I'm your host, Joe Nierman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. Hope your day is going awesome. When I was doing locals today, I was like, man, just not in the mood to deal with like going through the news and politics and breaking down some court case or something like that. I'm just not feeling it tonight. I'm really not feeling it tonight. In part because I'm frustrated that I didn't get to orally argue in front of the court today. So maybe I'm sulking. Maybe I'm just feeling some burnout or whatever it is. I was really thinking about just canceling tonight. I even had this little excuse because I'm like, I don't know why I got from my glasses like something over here that's going on. I don't know what that is. And I was like, maybe I'll just take a day off tonight. And I was like, someone, I think it was Morgan. Morgan said to me in locals, why not do a call-in show? And I was like, that sounds like fun. That sounds like something to do. That's something I haven't done in a while. People like being able to reach out to me. Whenever I do this, I'm not going to kid you. I do have this thing where I'm like, oh my God, no one's calling. It's almost like when you go to the doctor. When I was a kid, my biggest fear whenever I was sick is that I go to the doctor. And when I get to the doctor, I would feel totally fine. And he'd be like, you're faking. No, I was really sick. So, yeah. I don't know. That's kind of when you put out that it's a call-in show, that's always a risky run. But in theory, that could happen. You never know. But we'll see. I'm going to give you a couple of topics to cover tonight. I like having some sort of direction, like an overarching theme as to what I want to cover. So I'm going to cover these out of the gate, and maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help spur some conversation in a direction that seems apropos for tonight. But speaking of out of the gate, Mary Coppola hitting us with the 5. That's right. Count them. What is that? 5. Whoops, not that. Good Lawgic memberships. 5 new members of the following. Welcome to the following. Oh my gosh, 5 new members of the following. Who'd you bring in here? Oh, we heard that in echo. Who'd you bring on in here, Mary? Who'd you bring on in here? Nanner Nose, Just Mojo, Alabama Gigi Christie, Brendan B, Mark Bugner. Mark, your day's finally come. I seen that mug hanging out in my chats for so long, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy needs to be gifted so badly. And Mary hit you up today. Great job, Mary. Great job. Mark, you might not know this yet because I'm not sure about your membership status prior to today. I'm sure at some point you've been membered. If not membering yourself, I don't know. Self-membering is always is usually that's not going to come out right. Well, anyway, Mark, in case, and I'll tell you as well as all the new members of the following, please do not be all confused and think to yourself, oh, great, now I got to follow after this guy who's a wannabe cult leader. No. The following is not at all a cult. Not a cult. And I am not the leader of the following. One person who knows that better than anyone. One person who knows that better than anyone is our queen of recruitment here, Bella Stella. In with another 10. 10 good Lawgic memberships. God bless you, Bella. The queen of recruitment right there. Gifting, Kiki Ray, Dan Buckley, Alex, Scott Thompson, Tad Samato, Mistress Meg, Half Irish, Ken Phillips, Karen Mannings, No Mandates, and Cynthia J. All of them gifted memberships into the following. Some of you, I've read some of your comments before. I've read some of your comments before, and I've read some of you accuse that this is some sort of, that the following is like some sort of like, cult type of thing. It's not at all cult type of cult. No spaceships, no Kool-Aid, no self-harm, no harming others, no goat sacrifices, no squirrel mutilations, mild farm work, no dancing around bonfires, middle of fires while shucking off clothing to the beat of a tom-tom, no throwing virgins into volcanoes. There's literally, I defy you to show any parallels to like an actual, culty type of behavior, because this is not at all a cult type of cult. I'm not the leader, not everyone, not the leader. Please, for the love of God. That's the one thing that bothers me more than anything is, imagine how upset the leader would be if people thought that I was I am not the leader of the following. It's crystal clear. And we are not a cult. This is defamatory, defamation, libelous. That's what this is. It's libelous. All right. Couple of topics I want to get out of the gate. I'm going to hold off on Einstein because this came up again on Friday night. I had my daughter here and my new son-in-law, the newest son-in-law. They were here. They were asking me to explain the origins and the whole back and forth as to my ongoing raging dispute with Einstein and his ridiculous theory of relativity and his whole E equals MC squared nonsense. And they, being young, innocent, and impressionable, naturally had assumed that E equals MC squared and that the speed of light is constant and you can change time by all that stuff that as far as going fast in the speed of light and all that other stuff. And I proved to them, finally, it's the first time that people were like, yeah, you're totally right. So I will be proving it to you tonight. I will prove to you that whole nonsense is obvious, like climate change hoax type of craziness. I will prove that tonight. This is a call-in show. We're not going to have call-ins just yet. So one topic, if you want to discuss with me the whole thing, and I will walk you through it before I take calls, one topic will be this whole nonsense about time travel and moving fast in the speed of light and all that, and light and speed, time slowing down if you move faster than the speed of light and all that other. No, definitely, like it's like childish type of thing. The more I look at it, and when I give you the explanation as to how it's definitely flawed, 1,000%, like it's irrefutable. You're going to see it's irrefutable when I'm done with it. Irrefutable that whole thing as far as moving back that or slowing down time is like like you would think like seriously, like this is like Forrest Gump came up with this and everyone's like, oh yeah, that totally. I'm going to prove it to you. By the time I'm done with it, you're going to realize, yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. I'll prove it. I will. So I'm looking forward to that because I want to get people to actually admit to me, you know what, Joe? You're right. I always thought it was true, and you just proved to me exactly what you said is right. I'm so excited to do this. I can't even tell you. I'm so excited to share this because I came up with this, and I've been thinking for years. I've been saying it's garbage, but every time I try walking people through it, they were like, "No, but Joe, what about this?" So you're talking about God time? You're talking about? I'm like, no. It's just not true. It's not true. And a lot of people think that I'm making a joke about this, or like it's some sort of like, kind of like, hokey type of humor thing where I'm attacking Einstein. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. I am debunking Einstein tonight. Debunking it. It's hot garbage. It's hot garbage. You're going to see it. By the time I'm done, if you follow all the way through, unless you're obstinate, that you're just going to ignore obvious disproof, no matter what I say, because you have cognitive dissonance, you have some sort of investment in, I don't know, Einstein futures, whatever that would be, you're going to say, hey, Joe's totally right. He really nailed it. He totally nailed it. You're going to see, because you're not going to have anything to say. You won't have anything to say. Coming soon. So I'm going to do that. I also saw Matt Walsh talking about something. He was talking about a video, and he was doing his assessment on this whole thing about relationships. And I was just like, Matt, what? No. God, no. I mean, he gets close to accurate, but and then, yeah, I'll share a clip with you, which if any of you have thoughts about that, that's fine. Someone asked me to talk about King David. I did see a video where someone was talking about the whole story of King David, and I was like, okay, this is so flawed. This is so bad. And I was like, I think a lot of people might have seen this. I don't remember where I saw it, though. And I want to talk about Alito, because I think the whole situation with Alito and the flags, I saw a tweet which made me start trying to think from a different perspective. And we're going to talk about the whole Alito flags and his sitting on a case involving people J6ers. So we're going to talk about that also. All right. Let me just take care of a few things here first. Jenny L hitting me with a 50. Boom. Nice. Well done. Thank you so much. Please do like the stream, folks. I will point out to you, I'm at 96,978. I literally need 22 people to just surge past that 97,000. Surging. Because most people are shocked that I haven't crossed 100,000 yet. You would think that the person who disproved Einstein might get a little respect from the public specter, but from the public sphere a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe he's the whole Einstein sphere of influence is ridiculously strong, I guess. And Master Phillips hitting with 5 more. Good Lawgic memberships. The king of recruitment. We had the Queen weigh in before. King jumps on in here, says, "Hey, I got some fellows I can bring on in here too. It's not just you, Bella. It's not just you. I can bring people on in here too." Master Phillips gifting memberships to Howie Brown, Laurie, Alley Cat Osborne, Daniel Gygax, and Nick Carriero. I got that right. I got that totally right. Welcome to the following, you fine people. Welcome to the following. According to Time Magazine, the least culty type of cult ever. It's almost like it's not because it's not at all a cult type of cult. It's not even close. Not the ball in the truck again. You're wrong, Joe Neerman. Einstein is right. End of it. It is relative. You're gonna see you're wrong. You're gonna eat your words before this stream ends. Okay. I have like 2 hours to basically prove to you you're wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. You're wrong. I'm right. I'm gonna prove it to you. You're gonna be like, yeah, I have no answers for that. I have no answer for that. Yeah, I'm gonna prove it. Okay. Be very excited. What's the number to call in? It's funny you asked that, Kathy. Boom, right there. I just sent it out to y'all. I didn't even have to move my hands. It's there. That's right. I'm going to pin it in the chat. The call-in number is 972-454-0703. I'm not taking calls yet, so I wouldn't be calling yet. But that is the number. It's 972-454-0703. All right. I will warn you, if you try calling in a whole bunch of times and it gets slow here, I might actually call you back. So don't be freaked out if that happens. I'm not stalking you. So is DNA identification nonsense as well as the Einstein theory? Thank you. Hey, Joe. No, DNA is fine. I have no problem with DNA. DNA is statistical evidence that it's like, look, doesn't make sense. It's like, 1 in like a trillion that it's not you. So DNA evidence, that's got nothing to do with Einstein to me. I don't see the relevance there. Can the following gather naked to worship the ocean? No. No, 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 nope, nope, nope. No, I'm not going to be spreading ocean worship. No, I didn't even think of no. I said no. I forgot. I had I'm turning on Do Not Disturb. I'm not taking calls yet. We'll take calls soon. All right. And NY Renal, ND. Welcome back, doctor. The doctor in the house. A valued and esteemed member of the following. And Cecilia Morris says, can we get the update you gave locals today? So bummed to have not been able to see it, and XPM kicked me for some reason. I'll give you the short of it. The very short of it is they didn't let me orally argue. If you heard them call off the case today, it says good logic at the very end of the calendar call. The way it works when there's a calendar call is they call your name and you say, and you stand up and, say for the petitioner or for respondent or plaintiff or for defendant. And they have a calendar, a whole bunch of cases there, and call up one after the other. So they call them off in whatever order they decide to set up, which is sometimes random, as this seemed to be. Sometimes and if there's no oral argument, they'll just say, mark submitted, meaning that's it. It's now in. All the paperwork on this is final. No more paperwork on this, and the court's going to render a decision. I had asked to orally argue, submitted letters, back and forth with the clerk, whole thing. My lawyer sent in a letter saying he wanted to argue. And we found out like an hour beforehand that they weren't going to let us argue, which is why if you listen to the calendar call, they said Good Logic versus Mershon submitted. If I was due there, if I was asked to be there, they would call it out. And when I don't appear, they would say dismissed for no appearance, because failure to show when you're supposed to show. They might give a second call, but they would say dismissed for no appearance. You don't have enough interest to follow up on your case, we're going to dismiss it. Here, they told me you cannot come, which means if I went there, I would not have gotten into the courtroom. In a Supreme Court, in the trial court level, which is we call a Supreme Court here, there you can go walk into any courtroom you want. The appellate court, that's not true. There's actually a clerk who takes a whole bunch of people up to the courthouse. You can't just wander on in there. So if I went to the courthouse, they would have been like, no, yours is marked submitted. You're not coming. We're not letting you up. They give you a number, and I think, there's a whole process to get into the room there. I would never have gotten into the room because it was marked submitted. So that's the long and the short of it. All right. There's a longer story that I share on locals, but that's pretty much what happened there. All right. A couple of things I want to get out of the way here. So first, I thought this was funny. If you have thoughts on this, you can call and ask me about and give me your thoughts on this. I would appreciate any thoughts any of you have on this.
So the other day I went to a steakhouse for a friend's birthday, and she ordered a steak, and the waitress goes, "How do you want your cow cooked?" And I'm like, that's a weird way to order it, but whatever. So she asked my friend, "How do you want your cow cooked?" My friend says, "I want it medium rare," or something like that. And so then I wasn't in the mood for a steak. I wanted a hamburger. I'd been craving a hamburger. So I order, the cheeseburger. And she goes, "How do you want your cow cooked?" And I kind of awkwardly look at my friend because I was like, I feel really embarrassed. Do I point out that it's not cow? Hamburger is a pig. Everyone knows ham comes from pig. So I joked back. I was like, well, I want my pig cooked well done. You're not supposed to eat pork uncooked. Everybody knows that. That's why it's always been super weird to me that people will get red in the middle on their burgers. And so she looks back at me and she goes, "You mean your cow?" And I'm like, I don't know how to have this conversation right now. I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to educate you kindly. And I was like, sure, my cow. But it was so bizarre. I'm like, how do you not know? It's literally in the name. It's a hamburger. There's no hope for the world.
So, yeah. 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 There you go. There you go. I wish she would have educated her. Maybe that waitress would have learned something. See? Don't be inhibited to try and educate the world. It is literally in the name. It's literally in the name. All right. So that's one thing. That's one thing. You want to call up and talk to me your thoughts about the hamburger woman and what this says about our society? That'd be interesting to hear your thoughts. That's number one, hamburger woman. Second story. All right. So, second story is the whole leftism is going nuts. Nuts. Crazy. About Sam Alito hanging flags. They don't like that he's hanging flags. This one, I'm really hoping that a couple people will call in and tell me their thoughts. What they're basically saying is the appeal to heaven flag, which was carried by rioters at the J6 attack on the U.S. Capitol in 2021, was seen flying outside a property belonging to Mr. Alito in New Jersey on multiple occasions over the summer of 2023. Another flag carried by J6 rioters was seen flying outside the New Jersey beach home of Supreme Court Justice Alito on multiple occasions last year, according to a report. The appeal to heaven flag was carried by rioters during the pro-Trump attack on the U.S. Capitol in 2021, was flown outside the vacation home of Justice Alito during the summer of 2023, also known as the Pine Tree Flag. It dates back to the Revolutionary War. It comes days after reports from the New York Times that a flagpole on the judge's front lawn at property in Virginia had flown an upside-down American flag in late 2020 and early 2021, in the days after Joe Biden took office. The appeal to heaven flag and the inverted U.S. flag were both embraced by supporters of Donald Trump's Stop the Steal campaign, which maintains that Mr. Biden's election was hot garbage. 3 photos obtained by the newspaper, along with the accounts from a half dozen neighbors and passers-by, given to the outlet, confirmed that the appeal to heaven flag was flying at the Alito's home on Long Beach Island in July and September of 2023. Now, I will tell you this. So he is supposed to be hearing cases involving the J6. We'll call them people who engaged in this siege on January 6th. Do you think that he should recuse himself? And I'm sure that most of you are sitting there saying, F no, hell no, heck no. And that's okay. That's okay. If you think that way, I'm going to just ask you this. Imagine a justice during the 2020 riots, the Summer of Love, had on their property a Black Lives Matter flag flying all around, or a pride flag that they basically have up there, and they're called to weigh in on an illegal issue involving those particular matters. Would you say that they are compromised and should not be allowed to weigh in on the topic? You sort of need to, and if you think that that's not a fair analogy, which you might think it's not a fair analogy, then I'm going to ask you to explain to me what the difference is. You need to sort of come up and tell me, okay, how is this different? And really be able to articulate a bright line rule that can be applied, which would explain why that would be different, why the Black Lives Matter is different from what Alito is doing. And I'm not saying they're the same. I'm not weighing in with any opinion right now. No one should take this as me saying that they are the same. But I have heard that question raised, and I think it's an interesting philosophical question as to, the displayed interests of a justice, should that be something that we take into account? A lot of people are saying with Justice Merchan that he should be recusing himself because of his daughter's connection to the DNC, and we certainly understand that. So you sort of need to, if you're going to try and figure out what's philosophically, what's properly moral, you need to say, okay, this is a rule which is logical, which should be applied both to the left and the right. And what I'm asking you to basically do is try and figure out, where should those lines be? And I'm not sure I have an answer on this. Okay, because I think there's competing arguments you can make, and whoever calls and wants to talk about that, I'd happily hear from anyone who has thoughts on this issue with respect to Alito and the flags. But if you do bring up the Alito flag thing, I am going to ask you, and you're saying that he should not have to recuse himself, and I'm not saying he should. I want to be clear. I'm definitely not saying that he should recuse himself. I am going to ask you to weigh in on the Black Lives Matter or the Pride flags that someone else might be flying, and ask you, and if whether you feel the same way in that circumstance too, and if not, why it's different. Trying to challenge your brain. And it's not because I'm trying to challenge you because I'm your teacher or something like that. It's because I'm actually trying to figure out myself philosophically what seems logical, fair, healthy way of implementing justice when you have humans involved who have thoughts, feelings, ideas, preconceptions, and it's sort of it's tough to navigate as to like what is actually fair and just, and whether at what point does someone become too compromised to be just. It's a tough thing. It's very easy to criticize. It's very easy to say the other side is wrong for what they're doing. You sort of need to have a philosophy which works across the board in all circumstances if you're actually trying to establish a fair and just republic. So that's one of the things that I plan on discussing with you. The other thing that I'm thinking about talking about is, I don't know if I'm going to cover I want to cover I'm going to cover the Einstein thing. Let me get that out of the way. Should I cover Einstein? Maybe I'll wait another couple minutes. We're slow rolling in tonight. Idaho Tater, since Worcestershire is our leader, don't we need to subscribe to his opinion on Einstein? It's actually her opinion, and she can be wrong. I don't know if the leader is necessarily right, but Joe, do you think no Supreme Court justice has bias if they just don't raise a flag about it? No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. It is taking it's going an extra step, though. It's not just let's face it, a flag, there's a lot that's being said on a flag. It's that you feel it's important enough to you that you want to express yourself about this matter. A lot of people might have thoughts, but it's like, it's not that important to them. You might lean this way or lean that way, but it's not something that's like so important to them. When someone is taking the time and effort to wave a flag, that means this is an expression people need to know that this is where I stand on this issue. So that's a deeper level of commitment. I think we can all agree that's a deeper level of commitment, perhaps. Arguably, at least. Anyway, Reno, Alito shouldn't recuse himself, just like a liberal justice for supporting abortion in their past should not recuse on abortion and have not. Okay. That's good. I like that. It's a fair point. Sometimes lines need to be crossed or redrawn. Joe Neiman Collection Company. That's true. That's true. There's no proof that the American flag flown is J6 related. I do not trust reports. Okay, but let's assume it was true. Would it be relevant? I agree with you. I don't trust mainstream media at all. I think they're full of garbage, especially when they're looking to poison the public against certain individuals like the conservative justices. I can understand that I don't believe anything they say. But that doesn't change the philosophical question, right? No justice is devoid of opinion. They should be able to apply the law despite ideology. Merchants' conflict is a financial and familial conflict. So you're saying once money comes into it. So you're saying even if the person was helping organize rallies for the Black Lives Matter, they still should be able to weigh in if there's a claim that the group was responsible for some terribly illegal conduct. And you can make that position, but you sort of need to. That's a nice starting point. It's a good starting point. If a judge burns the American flag, should they not be a judge? In my opinion, yeah. You should be standing here for what America. You should be standing behind American ideals. Would you agree the Democratic Party has been trying to pull a Cloward and Piven on the U.S. Supreme Court? How long has this been going on, Lyrical? I'm not sure what you mean by Cloward and Piven, but that's probably my own ignorance. Cloward and Piven, what does that mean? Cloward-Piven strategy is political strategy outlined in 1966 by Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven. Now you got me intrigued. Political strategy outlined in 1966 by American sociologist and political activist Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven. The strategy aims to utilize militant anti-poverty groups to facilitate a political crisis by overloading the welfare system by an increase in welfare claims, forcing the creation of a system of guaranteed minimum income and redistributing income through the federal government. Interesting. That would produce bureaucratic disruption in welfare agencies and fiscal disruption in local and state governments that would deepen existing divisions among elements in the big city Democratic coalition, the remaining white middle class, the working class ethnic groups, and the growing minority poor. To avoid further weakening of that historic coalition, National Democratic Administration would be constrained to advance a federal solution to poverty that would override local welfare failures, local class and racial conflicts, and local revenue dilemmas. The ultimate objective of this strategy, to wipe out poverty by establishing a guaranteed annual income, what idiots, will be questioned by some because it's moronic. Because the ideal of individual social and economic mobility has deep roots, even activists seem reluctant to call for national programs to eliminate poverty by the outright redistribution of income. Yeah, I think that you can make a strong case for that, that's for sure. Thank you for introducing me to that, Bruce. Maybe it was hung for distress due to the January 6th riot. Could be. Could be. Could be. All right. I'm going to share with you the whole Einstein thing. Okay? Let me just get this. Let me just take care of this. I'm going to share with you the Einstein thing. It started a couple of years ago on this stream where I was trying to prove that Einstein didn't make sense. And his whole thought, and he basically starts with the premise that the speed of light is a constant that cannot possibly change, which I question that. A lot of people try countering to me, proving that it must be a constant, or that it's been tested, because then people tell me GPS. I've heard the arguments. I had Nick and Kurt from Uncivil Law both come on here yelling at me at the same time that I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. So the concept, though, in case you're unfamiliar with this, is that if you start moving really, really fast, time slows down. And they do this whole analogy of a guy moving on a bus and the lightning striking two towers, or lightning striking a tower and a train moving really fast. And to them, it's going to hit them later. So time is moving slower or whatever. And I kept making the point that it's merely perception, but it's not time that's changing. Time is not changing at all. Nothing is changing in time. And all these thoughts about time travel are stupid. It's nice for science fiction. It can be an interesting, like, ooh, I wonder what would happen there. I wonder what happened there. But it's really just, it's masturbatory because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. No matter how, you cannot go back in time and hear the Gettysburg Address. That cannot happen. That's happened. You cannot go back in time and watch the 2016 election. Yeah, you can watch a video of it, but you can't go back in time and watch it, experience it. Or the 2020 election. You can't go back in time and see yesterday. Certainly can't go forward in time. Now, how can I prove this to you? Beyond any shadow of a doubt. Okay, Earth is 93 million miles away from the sun. When sun, a beam of light, comes from the sun, travels from the sun to Earth, it takes roughly, I think, 8 minutes and 20 seconds, 8 minutes and 30 seconds. It's a little over 8 minutes. Okay? So, whatever light we see from the sun is basically 8 minutes old. It's more than 8 minutes old from when it left the source, the sun. Okay? Understand this with me, okay? So, it's traveling through space, a light beam. So if you turn on a flashlight, if you're standing on the sun, if you could do such a thing, if you're standing on the sun and you turn on a flashlight and strong enough, that light is strong enough to reach Earth. So that light now would travel through space, and 8 minutes later, that light beam would hit Earth. Someone on Earth would then see the light coming from the sun if they could look at the sun. Okay? Now, you with me so far? Everything making sense? Everything is good? Everything is good. Okay. I want you to imagine this. I want you to imagine this, and this is where people get so confused. Because when I talk about a light beam and someone racing alongside the light beam, and then they say time is slowing down as you're getting faster and faster and approaching the speed of light, which they claim no one can go faster than the speed of light, which is ridiculous. But they say you would go back in time. Because what would happen, what they're basically saying is if you turn on a flashlight and the light beam starts traveling, and let's say it gets like 1/10 of the way there, and you start moving 5 times the speed of light, you would go whoop, right past that light beam. It's true. You would. You would go past the light beam. Does that mean you're going back in time? Answer, no. You're not going back in time. A lot of these idiots like to say, including Einstein, say that you're going back in time. This is not true. This is not true. And I will prove it to you this way, because when you talk about one light beam, it gets very confusing. And when I was explaining it to my daughter and my son-in-law, this is how I explained it to them. Imagine someone is standing on the sun and they turn on a flashlight, but it's a rainbow flashlight. Forget about don't make any pride jokes. I'm just trying to make a point here, okay? And you need to have different colors in order to appreciate what I'm about to say to you. So imagine they turn on a flashlight, and the first second that the light is going out there, it's red light. And then after that, it's orange, and then yellow, and then green, and then blue, and then indigo, and then violet. Okay? I use rainbow colors because everyone remembers Roy Gabbiff. Okay? So each time, each one of them lasts for 1 second. So you have 1 second of red light, and immediately following that, 1 second of orange light, and then right behind that is 1 second of yellow light, and then 1 second of green light, and then 1 second of blue light. Now, okay? So you have basically, so when you're watching from Earth, you would see a second of red light, and then 8 minutes later, you wouldn't see it right away. It takes time for the light beam to travel. So 8 minutes later, you would see a 1 second of red, 1 second of orange, 1 second of yellow, 1 second of green, 1 second of blue, 1 second of indigo. Assuming they're all traveling the same speed, not traveling at different speeds because of different colors, which I don't know about that. I don't care about that. Let's all assume they're traveling the same speed. Okay, now, as soon as the blue light goes on, half a second after the blue light goes on, let's say you start racing toward Earth and you are moving faster than the speed of light. Now, people want to say when you're moving faster than the speed of light, time is slowing down for you. Well, what the hell does that mean? What exactly would you see as you're racing to Earth? Let's assume that the light now has another 7 minutes before it's going to actually hit Earth, and you're moving 3 times the speed of light. Well, so far there was red. First came out red, then orange, then yellow, then green, then blue, and now you're racing the blue light. So while you're racing along there, you'd see the blue light, but you're going faster than that blue light. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen is you're going to pass the blue light, and then you're going to see the green light. You can be racing along that 1 second's worth of green light, but you're still going much faster than the green light. So as you're racing along there, you're going to see the yellow light, and then you're going to pass that, and then you're going to catch up and racing alongside the orange light, and then you're going to pass that, and then you're going to be racing along, and you're going to pass the red light. So you're going to basically see those lights in reverse order from because you're coming from behind, right? And you're catching up from behind, and you're racing past it. Now you're speeding faster than the speed of light. So now you're basically passing different colored lights in opposite order from the order they went out because you're catching up from behind. Has time changed? No. No, you're seeing the green light when you're passing the green light. You're seeing the blue light when you're passing the blue light. It's just the light beams are just basically moving. It's what you're perceiving as far as what you can see, that the beam of light now looks green, or the beam of light now looks orange. That's just from where you are at this moment. This is what you see. So the notion, where does anyone have that you're going back in time at this? There's no going back in time. You're just outrunning the light. And yeah, you might get to Earth before the red light gets there, or the blue light, or any of those other lights get there. And you could be like, hey, guys, you guys see what's about to happen. In another 2 minutes, you're going to see, it's going to be red, and then orange, and then yellow, and then green. And you'll tell them what lights are coming. Does that mean that anything slowed down? No, nothing slowed down. If people were on Earth during that entire time you're racing the beam of light and having a conversation with each other, there's an episode of a TV show on, you're not going back in time and seeing the earlier part of the TV show. It's still playing. You're just not at a place where you can see it at that moment. But there's no time that's changing. So if you go fast in the speed of light, that what I always kept saying, the reason I think people got so confused, I said, you just catch up to the old light. But now I can help crystallize what I mean when I say the old light. That when you're traveling right behind that blue light, when you're traveling behind the green light, that you catch up to the green light. And then you catch up to the yellow light, you catch up to the orange light, you catch up to the red light. But time isn't changing. It's just what you're seeing is changing. It's so stupid to me. It's basically like you saying, oh, wow, I can't believe it's, you call someone up right this second and they're in China, and you basically say, oh, wow, is it sunlight? And they're like, yeah, I see plenty of sunlight. You'd be like, oh, okay, I guess there's sunlight. All of a sudden in the middle of the night, 11 p.m., there's sunlight. It's like, no, your position of where you are is changing what you're able to see. But it's not like you're in it's not like time is changing because you're talking to someone else in a different time. Different things are happening in people who are experiencing realities that are different based on what their position is in the universe. But it's not like events are uncreating themselves, that all of a sudden you go back and watch the freaking signing of the Declaration of Independence. If you go faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, I don't care how freaking fast you go or how long you go that fast, those people are dead. They're not resurrected. And this is why I get so bothered by this notion of people basically saying like, oh yeah, you're going back in time or whatever, or that time, you might want to see, people are going to say time is going to move slower for you than it will for people who are on Earth. Really? Maybe your perception of time will change. That's possible. That's possible. Because your position fixed next to the sun is going to be different. But this notion that like people can go backward in time if there was some way to go fast in the speed of light is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Like, what? So what happens? All of a sudden, like the Titanic just resurrects and starts floating backwards. Like, what? I don't even understand what anyone thinks is happening here. It doesn't make. And I think that the whole explanation, as far as that you're catching up with light, that you're going faster than light, it's just showing that, okay, now you're able to see the green light because you moved past the blue light. So you're now in a position where the green light beam is going by. And if you stopped in half a second, the blue light would catch up to you. But it's not like there's no change to time at all. Like not even it's not even like a millisecond is changing. Nothing is changing. All that's changing is your position relative to what's happening around you. The time itself is not changing. Nothing is changing on time. Time is marching to a constant drumbeat, which is unchangeable. Now it's a lot of fun to have all these different thoughts about like time travel and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, I can do. I could watch 12 Monkeys with the rest of you. That's fun. That's cool. But yeah, I think that the different colored light beams really help solidify the point in a way that I never was able to solidify before. By now, you probably all agree with me that, oh my God, Joe just proved that the whole concept of time slowing down is stupid. It's just stupid. All right. Saul Alinsky 101. Yeah, that is what it is. Saul Alinsky is what's it? Rules for Radicals? Yeah, everyone loves saying that. I don't really buy it, but that's a tougher one for me to disprove. And I don't know why anyone thinks that is the speed limit of the universe. Like, why would that be? It doesn't make any sense. Just because we can't figure out how to go faster than the speed of light doesn't mean nothing could. And it might be trickier to measure that it is. Government employees are under the perception rule. If it's perceived as a political or disruptive to a government job, that is a big no-no. Well, that's... disruptive to a government job, that is a big no-no. That makes sense. Call-in nights, great topics to get those little gray cells working. That's what we do. Time is based on the relative position of observers. Sorry, Joe, that's why it's the theory of relativity. The time travel thing is Hollywood crap. Okay, fine. So I didn't argue with anything you just wrote there. Everything I wrote is consistent with what I said. Every word you wrote there is consistent with what I said. That is the Joe Neerman experience. Ginger Ninja, off topic, Memorial Day related. I was interviewed by Matt Christensen on the Tenet channel tonight. My interview is 46 minutes into the live stream. Cool. I don't know who Matt Christensen is. But it's always a nice experience to hang out with people who people heard of. So cool. Pick 2 fixed points in the galaxy, we being in front of the second fixed point. Galaxies in rotation, then those behind us are the future. Wouldn't we be in the past where they reach our fixed point? What that means. 2 fixed points in the galaxy. We being in front. I guess you mean closer to, let's assume closer to the sun. So let's say from your angle, this one is closer to the camera than this one. Okay. So now the sunlight coming from you. Will we be in the past when they reach our fixed point? What do you mean when they reach our fixed point? I don't know what that means when they reach our fixed point. That's where I'm getting lost. Ginger Ninja, hear about the org that builds adaptive homes for disabled vets. Oh, cool. If you ever like to chat about it, Joe, not that I deserve it or anything, I'm Ginger Ninja on your locals as well. God bless. God bless you. God bless you as well. All right. Time for me to start taking some calls. I think this is a good breaking point. Let me check out. First I hit Ndug. Who on locals asked for this topic? I'm ready to use the ghetto. What is that? What is that? And Doug. Well, you don't. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Breck Nichols. Joe, if we adopt the name Digga's Excavation Volunteer Organization or Devo, I know where we can get some Devo. I know we can see yellow jumpsuits. I like it. Jack Hodler. Whoops, wrong one for you. Saying I enjoy the live transcript reads. Well, thank you very much, Jack. I appreciate that. That's very thoughtful of you. Thank you very much, brother. All right. Number to call. I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna remind you, it's pinned on Rumble. I'm gonna have to I think I gotta figure out how to I now realize I can pin in the Rumble ghetto too. It's pinned on YouTube. Call in number 972-454-0703 and send and pin this message. Pin this message. All right. Sorry for unpinning you and Doug. All right. Where are we at? Take off turn off my do not disturb. All right, lines are open. 972-454-0703, 972-454. Hello? Oh, I click allow. What? Click allow? What? What's allow?
Call from Technology Partners Associates, Inc.
Okay.
Accept.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Awesome.
All right. So
Hold on a second.
I'll start off by telling you I'm no physicist or anything like that. But I think that there's an inherent flaw in what you're saying. You're trying to equate the speed of light with the constant of the universe. They are not the same thing from my understanding. I believe, and you tell me if I'm wrong, if you know anything further than this, I believe that the universal constant, E equals mc squared, is what's relative regarding space-time. It's not that the speed of light is the constant, it's that the speed of light can't exceed the constant. If you approach the speed of light, i.e. the universal constant, you're approaching a time of zero. You can't move past that point because time is not moving. It's not that you're going back in time, it's that you're going at that constant. In other words, you're not getting further than that. Does that make sense?
One more time.
You want me to explain it one more time?
Yeah,
right?
it talked to me like I'm 5 years old.
Okay. Okay. If you look up the universal constant, let's back up a little bit. Einstein, to my knowledge, doesn't say anything about going back in time. Maybe I haven't heard of that. To my knowledge, his equation is E equals mc squared. The c is what you're referring to as the speed of light.
Yes.
That's the universal constant. It's, if I'm not mistaken, something like 300 million meters a second, something to that effect. The idea is that because space and time are interconnected, there's space-time relativity, if you approach that speed of light, you'll eventually get to a point zero. In other words, as you go faster, you're not necessarily moving. Does that make sense?
No, why would you not be moving? Why would you not be moving?
Because you're at that speed. You're not moving. Okay. Let's reverse it a little bit.
We might have a difficult time measuring how fast you're moving. But
right.
I mean that I get. Okay, I gave an example where there was 5 different colored lights. Okay, but let's imagine instead there was a sequence. Okay, of 20 lights that keep repeating. Okay, a sequence of 20 different colored lights that keep repeating. You could actually start to measure how fast you're going relative to the speed of light, It's just that light happens to be, it's all white light. It's all one color. But what I'm saying is, if light was traveling in different colors and you're passing different speeds, you would actually be able to, and you knew how fast that speed is, and you could measure how fast you're passing these different light beams, these different colored lights, you would actually be able to even measure how fast you're going compared to the speed of light.
That would be true, except for the fact that you're talking about movement in time as if they're not connected to each other. They're interconnected. That's space-time relativity. That's the flaw, and maybe I'm not able to explain it.
Movement in time have to be interconnected, because that's how you're measuring speed, right?
Right, exactly. So because you're moving with speed, now you're talking about relative to what you're next to. You're saying you're looking at these lights in sequence. Those lights have to move as well. It's not like they're staying in relative position, right?
Yeah.
So to that effect, you're not necessarily moving at a different speed, at a different angle. Not angle. You're not moving at a different speed as them. You're moving alongside them. If you're talking about approaching space and time together, interconnected, there's no way you're going to be passing them. Does that make sense? Because of the universal constant.
Well, the universal constant is where I'm having a problem. That's what I'm like. Where is this constant? Which is the universal constant?
The universal constant is the C in equals MC.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, so
let's give a different example.
Are you trying to? I'm not sure where you're disagreeing with me. So maybe you can bring me home on that.
Maybe it's a little hard for me to do. I guess I'm not.
You're doing great. You're doing great. I didn't get your name. What's your name?
My name is Mo.
Mo. Okay. So
yes.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Okay.
A lot of people, when they get up here, they're very nervous and they can't express themselves, and you're doing really awesome. So
I appreciate that. So I'm going to give you a different.
I'm just not sure where you're exactly disagreeing with.
So it's because you're talking about going back in time. To my knowledge, there's nothing about Einstein's theory that says that if you approach past the speed of light, then you'll go back in time. It's that you can't go past what you're referring to as the speed of light, which is actually the universal constant. And because you can't go faster than that, there's no such thing as going back in time. That's the part I'm disagreeing.
How would anyone know that you can't go faster than the speed of light? How does anyone know that? How could anyone possibly know that?
Because you're saying the speed of light, and that's not the thing that that Einstein talks about. He talks about the universal constant.
Oh, so you're saying C, so we're just assuming that that's the speed of light, but maybe it's not the speed of light, it's something else.
We know, like you said earlier, about the 8 minutes between the sun hitting the earth, 100% agreeing with you on that. We know if we want to talk to a probe out in space, it's not going to hit it immediately. It takes time to get from Earth to that satellite and back and forth.
Right.
That's because you have a certain speed limit to what things can do. I would love to give you a link. I'm not sure where.
No, I get that. Sound waves are going to travel at different speeds than light waves, and X-rays, and all of them are traveling at different speeds.
Well, now I'm going to give you an even bigger example of this that maybe will put it into better perspective. Let's say, in theory, we have the sun, and we have all the planets rotating around the sun.
Okay.
If I suddenly took the sun out of the sky, it no longer exists, right? That the planets will continue to rotate around that point in space where the sun was for the same amount of time as if the speed of light, or realistically the universal constant.
Why?
Does that make sense?
I don't think that's true.
That's my point. I wish I could link it to you. I have no way of doing it.
The reason I don't think it's true is because we're being pulled by gravity of the sun,
Exactly.
and I don't know that gravity moves at the same speed. Why does anyone assume gravity moves with the same force as the speed of light?
Because it's not the speed of light. We're talking about the universal constant. The constant means that anything that can happen can only happen up to that speed limit. It's a speed limit of the universe, and it's relative. So when you're talking about that same light, right, that's reaching us from 8 minutes ago, that same action of rotation, where now suddenly the Earth notices, hey, there's no sun in the sky, I have nothing to rotate around, that still takes 8 minutes for the gravity to catch up to make that change.
I don't know that it's 8 minutes. Maybe gravity. I mean, we probably can measure the speed of gravity if it moved faster than the speed of light. If the force drew things with a power that can move faster than the speed of light, we probably would.
To my understanding, and again, I'm no physicist, but to my understanding,
although I'll make an argument to you. I'll try to make an argument to you, and this I haven't fleshed out in my brain yet. I'm just sort of spitballing here. Okay.
Yeah.
So someone might be able to disprove this. Maybe the fact that there are black holes is indicative of the fact that light, light couldn't escape the black hole. I'm just trying to think that if light was moved faster than gravity, whether light would escape from a black hole. But I guess it wouldn't get out. It wouldn't get out because of the force that's pulling on it.
But that actually is a great example to my point. You have what's called the accretion disk in a black hole, right? That's if anyone's seen Interstellar, I'm sure you've seen the light swirling around that empty void, right?
I never saw Interstellar.
Okay, fair enough. Well, at any rate, the typical view that someone, if you typed in black hole into Google, you would see something to the effect of a halo of light around a black void. And the reason for that is because space-time bends according to gravity. Remember, we said space and time are relative. So because of that mass, because space, in this case, the black hole, is relative to time, it's stretching out that light. It's bending it around the gravity mass.
Okay, that I can understand.
So to that end, if you have that, that's the point of saying space and time are relative. You're not going to exceed the universal constant, the speed of light. You're just going to hit that point up to the point where gravity and speed and light will basically intermix. Does that make sense?
Speed and light are intermixing. Not sure I get that. I'm not sure I get that. I got to grab the next call, my brother. But I appreciate that you're a man of science and that you're trying to walk me through where you think I'm wrong, and I'm still not seeing exactly where you're even disagreeing with me.
I'm sorry.
Other than that, the fact that you're saying there's a constant, and I'm just saying that seems to be a given that has no establishment to it.
Well, again, I wish I could prove it better. I'm no physicist, but I also want to say I appreciate all you do, and I applaud you and all your efforts.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the call. I appreciate you, brother. Have a good night.
Thanks.
All right. I think next person call about hamburger. Yes. Yeah, in case you missed it, in case you came late, it's possible some of you did. This woman here who was very frustrated. This person here, very frustrated.
Hamburger. So I order, the cheeseburger. And she goes, "How do you want your cow cooked?" And I kind of awkwardly look at my friend because I was like, I feel really embarrassed. Do I point out that it's not cow? Hamburger is a pig. Everyone knows ham comes from pig. So I joked back.
Ham does come from pig.
I was like, well, I want my pig cooked well done. You're not supposed to eat pork uncooked.
Everyone knows that. It's going to give you trichinosis.
Everybody knows that. That's why it's always been super weird to me that people will get red in the middle on their burgers.
It's weird that there aren't all those folks down at trichinosis.
And so she looks back at me and she goes, "You mean your cow?" And I'm like, I don't know how to have this conversation right now. I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to educate you kindly. And I was like, sure, my cow. But it was so bizarre. I'm like, how do you not know? It's literally in the name. It's a hamburger. There's no hope for the world.
No hope for the world. No hope at all. No hope for the world. Okay. All right. Number is still 972-454-0703. 972-4. I turned off my do not disturb. You can call in now. But you think it's a troll? I'm not sure. I was wondering. It's got to be fake? I don't know. Could be. I actually won the same thing.
Call from
Chancy Green.
Chancy.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. What's on your mind tonight? You want to talk about Alito? You want to talk about Einstein? You want to talk about hamburgers? What do you want to do?
Well, I kind of wanted to talk about the Einstein thing
I
real
knew
fast.
it. Everyone comes to the Einstein. Everyone comes to the Einstein. I'm telling you now, I'm not taking more than a maximum 4 calls tonight on Einstein. You're number 2. I'm not taking more than 4 on Einstein because people start just like their tongues are hanging out like out of boredom. They just can't handle it. So,
Well,
but I will take yours. What do you got?
I want to say that you're right and you're wrong on the thing.
Oh,
For one thing,
okay.
if you think about your thought experiment with the colored lights, why are you seeing the lights in a reverse order as you go past the speed of light? Because you're going faster, and that's a reverse time dilation. You're actually going back in time.
It's not time dilation. No. It's not time dilation.
Hold on.
You're just seeing something different based on where you are right now. But it's not like
Well,
the
that's
light.
the thing. That's where I think you're missing the point, is that everybody's perception of time is personal. But think of this experiment, okay? If you had the world's most awesome telescope and you could teleport instantaneously a light year out into space and look back at the Earth,
Light year
you
being
could see what you were
distance,
doing
not
a
time.
year ago, right?
No. Light year is distance, not time.
That's what I'm saying. If you go a light year out, you've gone the distance that the light hit the top of your head a year ago and jumped out into space and has been traveling through space for a year. You can look through your telescope and go back and see the top of your head, right?
Listen, Chancey, like what you're saying to me is basically like me saying if I'm talking to someone in Hawaii and I can snap my fingers and end up in Hawaii. I'm on the East Coast now. Snap my fingers and end up in Hawaii, then now I just went back in time.
Exactly.
But that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
The time difference would be
because
so
what's
small,
happening here is
you're talking about a time difference so small you wouldn't be able to perceive it, though.
What do you mean? I perceive that it's 5 hours. It's 5 hours earlier in Hawaii.
That's time zones.
No, but there's a lot more sun. There's a lot more sun there. The sun hasn't set yet. It hasn't set in Hawaii yet.
But if you could shine a flashlight from where you're at to Hawaii, it wouldn't take 5 hours for the light to get there.
I agree that it wouldn't. My point is, but that's the same thing that what you're saying, that based on where your position is, that time is different. What I'm saying is that's not saying anything, because that's like, I mean, that doesn't mean you're going back in. There's no going back in time. You're definitely not going. I'm not going back in time. If I can snap my fingers and end up in Hawaii, I'm not going back in time. It's just that over there, it feels like it's 6:26 in the evening. I assume they're 5 hours behind.
That's my point. Is your time is relative to your position.
Okay,
you can only perceive time through looking at things.
But what's actually happening?
So
the same things are happening on the East Coast here. Same things. No one. It's not like if someone drops dead in Hawaii that I can. Or it's not like, okay, if someone 2 miles away from me drops dead, I can jump back and go snap my fingers, go to Hawaii, and then they're resurrected for another 4 hours. That's not how this works. That's my point. The same things are happening.
That's my point. Is okay. You said you couldn't go watch the Gettysburg Address, but if you had the super telescope of doom and could teleport out however many light years that is, look back at the Earth, you could see him giving the Gettysburg Address.
No.
Because an instantaneous teleport will send you back in time. Relative. Yes, it does.
Oh, my God. Why would that
Are you telling me that the light that hit Abraham Lincoln didn't go off into space and doesn't exist anymore?
I don't know what happened to that light. If it got absorbed into his skin, I don't know if he got skin cancer.
It's probably dispersed so much now you couldn't. That's why I say you would need the Uber telescope of doom. But yeah. I'm just telling you, your perception is all you have to perceive time. And because the best way to do that is with light, just like blind people, when the explosion goes off, they don't see the explosion, they only hear it. Does that mean they're trapped in the past?
So wait, you think that people, let's say, who are in a different galaxy, they're in the Delta Quadrant, okay, that for them, Lincoln is still alive. And they're screaming,
Yeah,
don't
or
go to
they-
the theater. Don't go to the theater, Abe. Don't go. Skip the show. You think that for them, Lincoln hasn't died yet? Or maybe not Lincoln, but JFK hasn't been assassinated. Like they're far enough away.
I would imagine if they're in a different galaxy, they'll probably look at Earth and see dinosaurs or something. But yeah, that's the same point. That's why I said you're right and wrong, because you're right that it is a matter of perspective. It's a matter of everybody's perspective. Have you not seen the housekeeping experiment with the atomic clocks on airplanes?
Yeah, I've seen. I heard about the atomic clocks. Everyone's talking about the atomic clocks. That's what now. This is what Nick and Kurt were telling me. They're like, "What about atomic clocks? What about atomic clocks? You couldn't have a GPS system if this wasn't true." And I'm like, "It's too close. It's too close."
No, this experiment, they had all the clocks synced up. They stayed synced for a long time, and they put them on planes. Some flew west, some flew east. They all came back together, and they weren't matching anymore. Why is that? Because it's relative to your position, speed, gravity.
So you're saying on planet Zygarthia, Ronald Reagan's still alive?
I'm saying that time is so fluid that if you could perceive the differences by distance, that's the only way to perceive.
What I would say is, even if they could see that, so the best way I'll try and support you and then show you why I think you're wrong. Okay, this is how I'm perceiving what you're saying. Okay, so I gave the analogy of the red, orange, yellow, green, blue lights going out, right? Okay,
Right.
So let's say we're 3 seconds into that sequence. Okay, so it's red, then orange, then yellow. And then we're about to go to green, right? Okay, that's to someone standing next to me watching me turn this flashlight on. That's what they're going to see, right?
Right, their perception.
That's their perception. That's what they're going to see. People on Earth aren't seeing nothing yet. They're not seeing anything.
They're in your past.
No, not in the past. They're where the light will ultimately hit eventually, but that hasn't hit
Right,
yet. Right.
The closer you are to somebody or something, the more into its present you become. The further you are from something, the more to the past you become. That's why it's a relative thing.
Yeah, but
that's why you see the Earth. That's why you see the sun 8 minutes late.
Let's say they actually had really great eyes and could see me turning the flashlight on. Okay, so they'd see me. Whatchamacallit? So you're saying that they're going to perceive. So to them, I'm still alive. I'm still so let's say the person who's turning the flashlight on, okay, like 60 seconds later would incinerate. Okay? Right? So they turn the flashlight on, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and then they incinerate. Now someone on Earth sees them, okay? And when they see them, they're gonna see red and then orange, and they see the person holding the flashlight. But the person's been dead for 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Okay, so does that mean that just because they're seeing it later, that they are that if they snap their fingers and could now be on the sun and can snap their fingers, they would be going back in time? No, they wouldn't be going back in time because the experience has already happened. The person was already incinerated by the sun.
Well, that's the point. Is the only way to jump back would be to be able, like I said, an instant teleport a light year out is impossible, but you would be able to look back and see what the Earth looked like a year ago.
But we're just trying to say, are they still there, though? So in other words, that's why I'm saying no one could actually go back and see Kennedy get assassinated. No one could go back and see what happened even yesterday.
You're talking about like in the movies.
It's already happened. You might, even if someone might not see what happened until next month. That's like a TV show that gets produced and aired and whatever. So it's like, okay, so like now you're gonna get to see it later on, but it's not, or something. I'm airing now on delay, right? I'm on 5 second delay. Just because people are seeing this 5 seconds after I actually say it doesn't mean that the words are coming out of my mouth the moment they're hearing it.
Exactly.
So
you can't
so someone snap their fingers. Okay, you ever do a call-in show? Okay, and all of a sudden it's on Spaces. Whenever I go onto Spaces, right? So you hear the show, it's on delay, and then all of a sudden they jump you forward into like the actual conversation when they bring you up onto the panel. They skip
Exactly.
over everything there. Okay. There's no way for you to actually hear what was said during the 5-second delay because all of a sudden you snap from 1 second to 5 seconds earlier. The point being that doesn't mean that people are speaking if I never jump forward, that doesn't mean that people are actually speaking 5 seconds later. It's just the reception isn't getting to me until 5 seconds. It's being delayed by
Right,
5
but
seconds.
I didn't say it was great time travel or useful time travel. I'm just saying you are technically time
It's
traveling.
not time traveling. You're just getting to a better perception, a closer in time perception. But the thing that
say
happened,
you had some sort of weird organ in your body that could see faster than light particles, then you would perceive things completely from, again, like your delay you were talking about. You would see things that were happening before they happened.
I think we're getting to a point where we're going in circles.
I know. I agree.
Chancey, this was fun though. I enjoyed the call. Thank you, brother.
Let me just say one last thing.
Yep.
Alito was right.
Who?
Supreme Court justices should be allowed to do anything they want as long as it's not an actual, they're enriching themselves or helping a family member.
So
that's all I got to say.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If Biden puts a trans woman on the court,
okay,
and then 3 years from now, 5 years from now, there's a bill that comes up for the Supreme Court which talks about the right to give trans people to make trans rights, trans surgery part of the Affordable Care Act, and that should be covered, that everyone should cover it. This person wants to weigh in on that. Are you going to be like, oh yeah, that's cool, that's totally fine?
Well, I mean, that person should be allowed to weigh in on it. Of course, they should be.
Okay, all right, no, so that's consistent.
Well, I don't believe that my moral standing should be the law of the land, and I don't think that any one Supreme Court member can make all that big of a difference. Isn't it famous that what's his name? I'm not recalling his name, but one of the Supreme Court members never asked questions for years when he was in the minority. And then now that he's in the majority, he asks questions on a lot of cases.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm say that again.
I'm
sorry. I just sort of I was looking at something here and I sort of zoned for a second.
Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
Clarence Thomas famously didn't ask any questions during oral arguments for years.
Correct.
Yeah. But now he does. Is that because now he has somewhat of a chance of getting his arguments through the court?
People speculate that it's because they're being recorded and rebroadcast. That they weren't always done. They weren't always doing that. But
why would he change all of a sudden? It seems like as soon as we started getting a more right side majority, that he started becoming more active. It only makes sense that when he was in the minority and Roe versus Wade was the law of the land, he didn't really have much need to ask questions because he knew where everybody would fall.
Maybe. Is she saying the reason he's asking questions is try to push those middle three justices into his way of thinking?
Right, but I mean, if we had,
I think he would just do that. He would do that privately, wouldn't he?
Well, I'm sure he does that too. I'm just saying, if we had a trans justice, they would have as much right to try to change people's minds or perception as anybody else. I mean, I didn't vote for the man, but Biden puts a trans person in there. He was voted in office. It's his right.
Okay. And then you can even weigh in on something that's obviously very personal to him. Okay.
Yeah, as long as they're not getting a financial.
That's consistent. That's
helping their nephew out.
That's fine. I think a lot of people would disagree with you on that, but that's fine. That's a consistent perspective to take. I appreciate your call, Chancey. You were awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night, my brother.
Have a good evening.
Merrick says Rogan and Terrence Howard did a 3-hour show recently, and didn't realize Howard was so intelligent. He wrote a book about this. It was interesting. There you go. There you go. People pinning new message is time kosher. Unless it's a hamburger. As long as time's not a hamburger. We all know that's made out of pork. All right. I'm an hour 19 minutes in. I want to share with you a clip here from that Matt Walsh shared. He's talking about this woman who's frustrated with her life. And he shared this clip.
This woman expressing her deep frustrations over this issue. Listen.
Quick question. Are you kidding me? Like, I am so sick and tired of just everything right now. Everyone is so quick to say, stop doing this, stop thinking like this, stop telling me I'm wrong. I have literally convinced myself at this point, based on everything that everyone's telling me, my therapist, my family, my friends, that I'm just doing everything wrong. Like, I genuinely just want love in my life so badly. It's literally not about anyone else. It's just about me and what I want. And being over the fact that I don't have it. I feel like I have done so much work on myself. I have built a beautiful life for myself. I'm happy with my life where I'm at, my job. I'm successful. I'm independent. I'm healthier than I've ever been. I take such good care of myself. Truly, the only thing I'm missing in my life is someone to enjoy it with. And I'm so sick of waiting. Like, when is it going to be my turn? What more do I have to do to fix myself before I'm just allowed to be happy? Am I just supposed to be alone? Like, is that the message? That this beautiful life I've built for myself, like, it's just supposed to be me in it alone? Like, I know I have my dog and I love him so much, but like, I need love.
She was going to say a man, but she changed it to love. But let's hear Matt Walsh's take on this.
Now, even though I may be infamously a Grinch whose heart is 3 times too small, even I will say that I truly feel bad for this young lady and the loneliness she's experiencing.
100%.
You'd have to be a sociopath to not feel bad for her. And despite popular misconceptions, I am not actually a sociopath. So it is a sad story. And as this woman discovers that it is hard to be happy. It's impossible, really, if you do not have someone to share your happiness with. She says that she's worked on her.
It's an interesting statement by him, saying it's impossible to be happy unless you have someone to share your happiness with. So that's my first question. Do you think that's actually true? It's impossible to be happy unless you have someone to share your happiness with. That's another question. It's his statement, it's impossible to be happy unless you have someone to share your happiness with. It's an interesting statement. The next statement he says here, I think, is the one that I don't quite agree with.
She's done everything she can to make herself desirable. Part of the problem, of course, is that some of the things she highlights will have no effect either way on making her more desirable to men. For instance, no man cares whether a woman is successful or independent. Like, there has never been a man in the history of the world who has left a first date and said, wow, she's great. She's so successful and independent.
He's wrong about that. He's wrong about that. This I'll tell you for sure he's wrong about. There are men who would say that. The problem is that any man who would say something like that, that woman would not respect. She would not want that person. That's the problem. See, he's wrong. There are men who would say that, but I respectfully submit that any man who is the type to say that is not someone that she would want. Was not someone who's going to have capacity to make her happy. Because that person is not doesn't have the appeal that she almost certainly would be looking for. So that's why she's on a collision course with misery. because things, I think a large part of her failing is that she's not thinking through the mindset of the type of guy that she undoubtedly is looking for. He's correct. The guy she's looking for would not care at all whether she's built some sort of successful career. No, because that's like a pudding liver type of dude. I just made up the phrase pudding liver, but I think you all know what I mean. It's a pudding liver dude. It's like, you wouldn't picture Han Solo saying, yes, wow, your career is so impressive. Oh my God, I can't believe what a remarkable woman you are that you built such a success. You just wouldn't picture it. You wouldn't picture it. No, that would never come out of his mouth. Yep, it's reality. So, and I don't think she wants a pudding liver. Pudding liver would be like, oh my gosh, you're so wonderful. Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. You're so impressive. You're so great. You're so talented. You're so, you're just, yeah, that's the problem. That's the collision course with misery that she's on. And it's very, very, and I agree with him. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. Because the Han Solos of the world are being labeled as toxic masculinity, which is messed up. It's messed up. Where are all the heroes gone? Well, they were feminized. That's what happened. They were neutered. But if you're a dude who's like, and I don't mean like blasting, obviously, I don't mean like literally Han Solo. I mean like that same type of confidence and comfortableness with his own flaws and not afraid of being judged in a society which is rewarding you depending on how well you're judged. One of the things that a lot of people like don't understand, like it's an interesting schism that we're in, because social media, which is the social development of everyone in that woman's age demographic that they grew up with, it rewards you for, it makes you it's almost like they train you like a Pavlovian dog, that if you do things that the social media world likes, you get your instant kick that you're a good person, you're one of the good ones, and you're part of something in the greater society, while at the same time we're recognizing how flawed all these things are. And that's part of the schism that I think people are feeling in failing to be able to establish healthy relationships and form a family. And it's really sad. It's really sad. Joe, can you explain why Judge Merchant is an acting Supreme Court judge appointed in 2009? Explain the judicial assignments in New York State. Could someone replace Merchant someday? It's not well documented. No. It's an election process for our judges here. The problem is that if you're on the Democrat, from what I understand, I never really tried becoming a judge in the state of New York. From what I understand, it's an elected position where you have to be on the Democratic ticket. And the way you get on the Democratic ticket is you have to rub the right elbows. And once you're on the Democratic ticket, you run unopposed all the time. So you're basically there forever. Because everyone knows that in New York City, if you're a Republican, you're never gonna get elected. Now on the island, it's a little bit different. Upstate, it's different. But in New York City, yeah, he's there for as long as he wants to be. Unless, I'll tell you this much. I had an experience when I was first cutting my teeth in litigation. One of the first clients I ever had hired me to evict someone. Was desperate to get this woman out. Desperate. He didn't really express to me how desperate he was, but apparently she was Section 8, and he was like, if I get her out, I can jack up my rates enormously. So I brought an application because she hadn't paid rent in like a year and a half. In fact, there had been a prior application. and she cut a deal to make payments and then didn't make those payments. So she was living rent-free in this really dirt cheap apartment for a year and a half. When we got there in front of the judge, she's like, I can't afford to pay, but I've been living there for like 9 years. This is my home. It's like, wow. The judge is like, wow, you've been living there 9 years? 9 years? Oh my gosh. Counselor, you really want to throw her out? Yeah. She's not paying rent. What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to fix anything? Like, how are we supposed to survive? How are we supposed to pay taxes? How does any of this work? I understand she doesn't pay rent, but she cut a deal, and even after she didn't pay, then cut a deal, and then didn't pay on that. Like, what are we supposed to do? So she goes, Counselor, look, I'll tell you right now. I want you to work something out with her where you're going to forgive some of the rent that's due, and she's going to come back in, she's going to start making payments. She'll start making payments? Yeah, she's going to start making payments. She's going to start making payments. Otherwise, I'm going to go through your papers, and if I find any flaw at all, I'm bouncing it out. If I find the smallest flaw in the wall at all. So if you're positive that your papers are perfect, you can roll a dice. I have a feeling I'll be able to find something. This is what the judge said to me. Talk about strong arming. At this point in my career, I was too tender to actually stand up to that abuse. I went back to my client. I was like, yeah, let's work a settlement here. The client was furious at me afterwards. Like, I learned a lesson here about not being strong-armed by judges. I'm going back to 2000. I think it was 2000. But I ended up having to bring a new application before this judge. But she wasn't there. You know why she wasn't there? Because she became an appellate court justice. Because that's what happens. I was like, this is not law the entire time. Like, this is not law. This is not what is happening here? What is happening? This is not law. You're basically telling me that you're going to try to find some excuse to throw out my papers because you feel bad for this woman who's just not paying her rent at all? And she's like, yeah. She's basically going to assert her will on the case. Ignore the law, assert her will on the case, find some reason to bounce me out, even if it's completely made up. Frustrating. Frustrating. Wait. So, yeah, if Merchan's not there, it just means he got bumped up. That's what it means. It means he's sitting in the appellate division somewhere. That's what it means. Just telling you. Or that he decided, he can make a lucrative career in politics or something like that because everyone loves him because of this whole trial. But if he leaves, it's going to be by his own choice. No one else's. How do you two feel about CB or I don't even know if this is a hamburger question or if this is a radio waves question versus light waves. But either way, a great question. But Joe in his wiki and news says acting Supreme Court justice, implying he was never elected. Is his appointment time limited? Oh, is that what you're saying? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about the nomenclature there to answer that question. I just know they go and tell you, and then there's a judge sitting there, and then you basically do. I never looked into the whole judicial authority, legal authority as to how it is that they have their positions. That's a good question. And most of them are elected, so I don't want to weigh in. I don't want to weigh in on that because I'm really not sure of the answer. All right, I'm going to open the phone lines up. If you have any thoughts as to this woman or anything I said about the whole Han Solo thing, which is my own thought. But, yeah, 972-454-0703, 972-454-0703. Also, Alito, Justice Alito, do you think that him hanging flags is justification for them to remove him? You likely don't think so. If so, where would you feel about, let's say, a former member of Pride sitting on cases? Or not even a former member, but someone like, keeps the Pride flag up, sitting on cases affecting trans rights. All right. Phone lines are open yet again. 972-454-0703. Sometimes what happens is a call comes in and then it's I'm on the 5-second delay thing.
Call from
And Doug.
All right, you got to turn me off back there. And Doug.
I got you. What's up, Joe?
Hey, how are you?
Well,
From the
I'm
Rumble
calling
Ghetto,
as
and
the
Doug,
Ghetto.
and Doug, the chief moderator of the Rumble Ghetto. How you doing tonight?
Well, tonight I'm calling as the Ghetto lawyer, not a lawyer,
Okay.
of the Ghetto.
Have I done
And
something
they're
wrong? Am I in
complaining
trouble?
about no
Did I do
lights
something
in the
wrong?
tunnel. Yeah, they're complaining about no lights in the tunnels.
The light's coming there. It's just
So-
it's 8 minutes behind. So it's coming.
Well,
Tell them to be patient.
we're about they're about to riot. So, and they also would like to have some paid time off.
No. So are they going to threaten union on me? Is that what's going to happen? They're going to threaten union on me?
Yeah. Yes, they are organizing a union over here,
Oh
and it's going to get ugly real quick if their demands aren't met.
God, the working man sucks. Fine. What are their demands? What are their demands? Tell me their demands.
Lights.
Lights.
They need lights, blankets, paid time off,
time off.
beer. Beer.
Cool.
Lots of beer.
Beer is good. I'll give them the beer. The beer is fine.
Yeah.
Not the imported crap though. I'm not giving them that. And it's gonna be draft. None of that light beer. Okay. No, zero light beer. I'm not giving no friggin' light beer. You want light beer? Go work for the Young Turks. Okay. I'll give them a good Sam Adams. I'll give them all the Sam Adams they want. I'll give them some Dos Equis.
Well, I figure as the subjects were on lights, we're struggling with light sources over here. So
was I really annoying you with the whole light conversation, the whole speed of light conversation? Was I annoying you with that? Because I saw you were just like, oh my God, I want to shoot whoever raised this topic.
No, not that, but I was like, oh, really? Man.
Again?
This is not what I want to do tonight.
When it gets really heady, that's when I'm just like, nah, I can't. Like someone starts talking about the speed differentials, and also I'm going back into logarithms, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. But
well, on a good note, we didn't have the fart spammer tonight, so we're good over here in the ghetto.
What was that?
We just need lights.
What the heck was that?
I don't know. It was all night long. You caught it at the end, and I had actually walked out in the garage because I had my phone with me, and then I have my computer in the house. And then all of a sudden I seen it again. I'm like, damn it. So I went running into the house to grab it again. And that's the one time you seen me, you're like, where's the mods?
No, I didn't say where's the mods. I wasn't complaining. Okay, I want to ask you this. Do you when you bounce them, do you boot them all together? Like
yeah, when they're doing that, yes.
Okay.
Yes, when they do that all together, I do the forever delete.
All right, good.
But then they just come back with
under
a different name. It's
I know. It's like,
oh my God.
It's like you're playing that hedgehog game, like from the thing where you're bashing, like another head popping up, another head popping up, another head popping up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. No, I was afraid that maybe they're just being put on like a 5-minute timeout, and I'm like, no. If it's a regular who's there all the time and they're just being a jerk one night, I wouldn't do that to them. But
right. No. I mean, the ghetto's the ghetto. We joke around and we talk crap, and it's all good. It's just when it's somebody that's just trolling, it's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, Doug Fat wants to know if you can ask me if I can commit to reading Rumble chat at least for 10 minutes an hour. So
If you can commit to doing what?
if I can commit to reading Rumble chat at least for 10 minutes an hour.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Now,
okay.
now I just
See?
want I want
See?
to I want to
Okay.
I want to show you something.
Now,
I want to show you something. Because this is one of the things
that's
that
now on the list of demands. I got it. I got you, Duck. I got you.
okay. I want to explain something to you here, okay? Here.
Okay.
I want to show you. Are you able to look at your screen there and like see?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the Rumble chat. Now you're going to see it probably like 20 seconds later because Rumble's like way behind me. But you're going to see there. Oh, I should really not dox you. That would be better. Right? That would be better if I didn't dox you. I apologize for that, Doug. Please forgive me. All right. No one call her. So,
That's okay.
okay.
It's all good.
This is.
I'm in Wyoming. I have guns. I'm fine.
There you go. Come at her. Come at her. Okay. So this is the
Come at me,
Rumble
bro.
chat. Okay. Now, in StreamYard, this is what happens. Okay. In StreamYard, I get Rumble and YouTube mixed together, blended into one giant chat for me. Okay. So I can pull up this thing here, this N from Clorox Chewables. I can pull that up because that's here in my StreamYard thing. Okay. And I can see it doesn't show when I pull it up. I can see which chats are from YouTube and which one. Here's bots from Brazil over here, from Perambulator right before that. But the really weird thing. So you see how that's in the chat there. That's over here. It shows up as that's from the Rumble chat. So you see, Perambulator comes up into my StreamYard. But for one reason or another, that I cannot understand about StreamYard, while super chats from YouTube will show up in this whole screen thing that I'm doing, in my whole thing, and I can pull them up. Rumble rants that people pay for don't even show up over here. See over here where I see this whole back and forth thing? This whole thing? If you'll see in a second there. This is what it looks like for me. Okay, backstage. I'm not going to pull open the whole thing there. But this is, see, we're Perambulator now saying I'm a star. I can pull up here. So that'll show up. But if you pay for a Rumble rant, that will not come in here. Nowhere. It won't even show up anywhere at all. So while these will all show up, I can see all the super chats I got all night long and pull them up unless they go into the special starred box area over here. And I can say, oh, you see, Lily here saying, missed your show for a while here. That shows up. I missed you too, Lily. Thank you for the warm thought. And saying, love you, Joe. Look at that, Lily. So nice. Missed you too, Lily. Remember, for 20 friggin' months. Good to be back, Lily. The point is, your super chat that you sent earlier, Doug, is not in here anywhere. These automatically pop in here. None of these, they're not only not here, but they won't, it doesn't even show in here for even a second. It's like you never sent anything at all. So that's why I'll tend to forget about Rumble rants, because it's not that I don't see what people in Rumble are saying. That's why I knew there was the whole fart thing, because I was like looking over here and all of a sudden I see that and I'm like, what the heck is happening? What am I seeing here in the chat? And that's when I go running over there. But the only reason for me to ever look at this is in case someone actually sends a Rumble rant, and then it'll, I'll see it the same way you guys would, in your chat. But that's why I'm never looking in Rumble, because the natural thing is I'm already seeing most of the Rumble chat here. The only thing I'm not seeing are the paid Rumble rants, and that makes me feel like a jerk if I miss a paid one, because a person really wants my attention enough they're going to pay me for it. I feel bad failing them in that regard. So that's why people think it's the Rumble ghetto, and it's like, no, you're not the Rumble ghetto. It's just for one reason or another, the StreamYard makes it impossible for me. So
we take pride in being the Rumble ghetto.
I know.
We
it's a blue collar pride. It's a blue collar pride, which is awesome. So
it is, and the ghetto has voted that it's no longer the hammer. It's now the ghetto gavel.
Nice. I like it. All right, drop it. Okay. Do you have any thoughts on Alito as far as what are your thoughts as far as like if let's say someone who was like a trans woman was sitting on the court, God forbid, but a trans woman sitting on the bench, and now they are being asked to weigh in about and the case comes before the Supreme Court about whether trans should be included as far as mandatory a bill. The legality of a bill that's going to basically compel all of us to pay for transitioning. So, do you think that they should be forced to recuse themselves, or do you think they should be allowed to say?
I'm probably going to get a lot of blowback on this, but it's okay. Yes, I don't think that. You know what? Here's my feelings on the whole trans issue. You're an adult, you want to do your thing, go do your thing, in the privacy of your own home, whatever. Don't force it upon other people. And my biggest issue is keep the damn kids and the government out of it. Don't be forcing the stuff on people.
Okay, fine.
And
fine.
It makes me angry.
Let's say some stupid woke Congress basically passed a law mandating that any child and every school that wants to get funding has to have some sort of sexual orientation curriculum, which will include all the LGBT stuff for kids before they turn 6 years old. So if you want to be eligible for this funding, so now you have to it's basically motivating schools to do that. Then it's challenged as far as it being legal. Now, when it's challenged as far as being legal, one of the people sitting on the bench is someone who is trans. Do you think that they should be forced to recuse themselves?
Yes.
Why? Why is that different? I'm not saying you're wrong, but you need to sort of ask yourself, why is that different? What makes that different?
I don't know.
I know.
I don't know. Maybe my biases are showing right now, but unless they can, how do I put this? I guess in the world we're living in right now, that's what we've been living through for a few years is this constant push. We have to have these disgusting books in schools and all this trans stuff and drag queen people and the full month of June Pride crap and whatever. It needs to be first of all, the government shouldn't be mandating anything like that. But when it comes to children, I can't. I can't. I can't deal with it.
I feel you. That's why we call them groomers, because they're literally ruining these kids' lives. They're literally ruining their lives. And by the way, the people get ruined more than anyone are the ones who actually become trans. Like I feel such pain and sorrow for them. The same way I feel pain and sorrow for this woman here who thought she had to build a career for herself in order to merit a good man, which clearly she did. She clearly feel that if I work on myself and build a great career, now I am worthy of having a good man. And what she doesn't realize is that's not what makes her worthy of having a good man. It's not at all.
No, and that's not how relationships work. I got married at 21. We didn't have any money. We had kids young. We didn't have money. And you know what? We did just fine. 35 years later, our kids are grown. I have a grandkid. Everybody's doing great. Like having, if you want to go and be a career woman, be a career woman. You want to have kids. Take care of your kids. Like, I don't know. That's just me, but maybe I'm old school.
You and me both, kid. You and me both.
So,
thank you so much.
Keep the groomers out of the schools and keep the weirdos away from the kids. That's my final answer.
I'll try to come up with a philosophy to embrace that.
All right, Joe. Well, you have a good night, and I'll try to calm down the ghetto from writing.
All right. Thank you so much. You're awesome. I appreciate you so much. Have a great night, then, Doug.
Good night, Joe. Good night, ghetto.
Kathy says, quote, this It's not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. I think that sounds so biblical. So biblical. So friggin' biblical tonight. Just says, but we have a justice who can't define a woman. No guess where that personal position is. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. We demand free Funyuns. Funyuns are very underrated. But then they get like I don't like the same thing like with cheese doodles or like all these like I don't like having oily stuff in my fingers. And there's no other way to eat it. But I don't like having I don't know. But the taste, yeah. Taste is really awesome. Do all trains think the same about all trains issues? That's a fair question. That's a fair question. They clearly do not. Blair White is very against, who's a trans woman, does not, does not support any of the work that they do on kids. So that's a great point. Great point. The only way she gets love is by making pigs fly, by making a hamburger travel the speed of light. Impossible, because she's a woman and can't throw that well. Nice. Nice. I like it. I'm going to open back up the phone lines here. I'm going to try and get more people in here. More folks. 972-454-0703. 972-454-0703. I'm only going to be taking a maximum of two more Einstein folks. Maximum two more. And that's it. I'm not doing any more than that because I can't. It's turning my brain after a certain point. I just throw my thoughts out.
Call from
Bobby.
To accept, press 1.
Bobby.
Hey, Joe. How are you doing?
Awesome. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks, man.
Where you from, Bobby?
Georgia.
Cool. All right.
Yep. A little south of Savannah.
I've been to Savannah. I was there a couple of years back when I was on family vacation. There's a very big Orthodox community in Savannah, Georgia. Orthodox Jewish community in Savannah. That city, those trees that you guys got there, those willow trees. Oh my
Live
God.
oaks.
Oh my God, they're so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It is so beautiful down there.
It is very beautiful.
Yeah. So what's on your mind tonight, my friend?
The thing about the justice, I had some thoughts on that.
I'd love to hear them.
I would like, and I guess in a perfect world, I would say that we wouldn't want to bring anyone on the Supreme Court that would want to put their personal feelings ahead of like what the law is and how they interpret the law. They shouldn't interpret the law based on any kind of like internal bias. They should put that aside. That's what judges are supposed to do, or that's what I think they're supposed to do. Am I wrong?
You're 1,000% right.
So, like, I don't really care if Justice Alito flies a flag upside down. I don't care if he flies a pirate flag or any other kind of flag outside his house. That doesn't bother me. Or if he buys stocks or what. I don't think him buying stocks has anything to do with any. Like, that's probably worse for people in Congress or in the Senate, because they're actually passing laws and doing things, and they have inside information that even justices probably don't have, because they're only hearing about things after these laws are passed or after they come before the court.
But certainly when they're well in development, long after the people in the House or Senate would hear about them, that's for sure.
Right. They've already taken advantage of the, whatever good to get out of it is usually.
Yeah, but you would think likely. Yeah. Unless they have someone inside there, which is it's more likely that a justice would have someone inside or several people inside than you or I would. But yeah, okay.
True. I could agree with that, but I don't care. I kind of, a couple years ago, I guess, when people were talking about the flags and people are offended by, the stars and bars or the Antifa flag or whatever flag, I don't care. If you have a flag outside your house that I don't agree with, I know not to go knock on your door. It just makes my life easier. So, I mean, it's not that difficult. People get offended by a flag's an inanimate object. It's not going to stick its foot out and trip you when you walk by it, just like a statue isn't. If you don't agree with it, don't look at it. Don't go where it's at. Choose to go somewhere else. We have too much freedom in this country to just let little inanimate things bother us so badly.
Amen. I'm curious, how much schooling do you have?
I have 2 years of college. I was in the Air Force for 13 years, and I got a community college Air Force degree, so I have a 2-year associate's degree.
Uh-huh. You married? You got a family?
Divorced and going to get married again in July.
You sound very well grounded.
Thank you. Oh, I meant to share something with you. You said your birthday is June coming up.
June 25th.
That was my dad's birthday.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that until the other day. I saw you were gonna your birthday was June 25th, and I was like, man, I got to tell him that my dad's birthday was June 25th.
Well, that's pretty cool.
My pop,
how old is he?
He passed away on 12/12/12.
Really?
He was 63.
Wow.
Yeah, lost him too soon.
I'm sorry for that.
Thank you.
My dad's birthday is actually. Oh, you said 12/12. Yeah, my dad's birthday is June 12th. Oh, it's getting confused.
Yeah, he passed on 12/12 of 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. No, you sound really, really grounded, and that's why I was wondering if you managed to get like I was trying to figure out your age, and it's hard to figure it with.
I'll tell you, I'm 43.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be 43 this month. A couple days.
Mm-hmm. You got kids?
I don't have any kids of my own. It's kind of a funny story. I got married when I was how old was I when I got married? 25.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl I got married to had 2 kids. They were 5 and 4 or 6 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I adopted the kids.
So
I raised them even after her and I got divorced. She had a lot of problems with some substance abuse and things like that. So I raised the kids, took care of them and raised them and all that stuff until they were in their teens, and now they're adults off doing their thing.
The reason I'm asking all these questions about your personal life
is
because, like I said, I can tell right away you sound like very grounded. Like, were you able to basically like when you were expressing about there's certain maturity you were displaying in expressing that all right, look, other people might have different perspectives that I disagree with, as long as we live and let live. These are all ideologies which seem like from a lost world, which should be commonplace, and yet too frequently are not. So that's why I was like that. And that displays a certain self-confidence in yourself. It's kind of like the whole Han Solo effect that I was referring to earlier. That's what I was hearing in the way you were talking. So that's why I was that's why I was asking all those questions about your station in life and what you're dealing with. And I'm not remotely surprised to hear that you adopted someone else's kids, and then I'm sure you're an awesome dad.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Anything else you want to weigh in on?
Yeah, the hamburger lady. That lady's just insane. There's no way. Who are this woman's parents? Can we find them? We need to imprison her parents. I mean, there's no way she's that dumb.
Oh,
that's on her parents.
Maybe it's
she
a
never
troll.
expressed to them growing up, all along. They never went to McDonald's, and she's like, I don't like pork, and they're like, McDonald's doesn't serve pork, sweetie. I mean, come on, man. She's got to be trolling something.
It's got to be trolling, right? It has to be. That can't. It's no. Come on. That's got to be a troll. That's got to be. If it is a troll, well done her, right? I mean, that's tip the cap because she played it well.
A couple of callers ago too had mentioned something about when you see something and you perceive something versus and that changes.
Here we go.
I'm not going to get into this, but I was trying to say in the chat, the best example would be lightning and thunder.
Right.
You see the lightning before you hear the thunder, the further you are away from where the lightning took place. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
Yeah,
it happened.
And no matter how fast you go, you're not going to experience it re-experience it all over again. If you snap your fingers and can just and blink yourself over there right after the lightning strikes, even though the thunder's still rolling, you're not going to all of a sudden see the lightning.
Right. No, it's already happened.
Yeah.
It's just like if a tree falls in the woods and you're not there, did the tree fall? Of course it did.
Yeah.
You just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Trees fall all the time. It doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Thank you.
Perception, I guess that was something else I wanted to say. Perception is like the lady who, there was another story about the woman who was like, oh, I can't find anyone and there's no good guys and all that. Maybe she has, what do you call it? Maybe she has too hot. Maybe she's looking for the wrong thing, or she thinks that, a guy should be A, B, and C, and that's not reality. She's not I'm trying to think of how to put it.
This is I mean, I started talking about my thoughts on her. She very clearly does not understand her prey. In other words,
Okay, I
if
agree.
if you have an agenda as far as what you want, the most important thing is to actually try to think like that thing. If you're in sales, so you have to sort of put yourself in the shoes of your customer and say, what does my customer, what's my potential customer looking for, and how can I best meet their needs? So she is basically expressing what she's looking for, and you can get a picture for what it is that she wants, and yet at the same time, what she's marketing are things that are zero interest to them. It's like giving ice to an Eskimo. Why would you do that? That's not something that they want. Someone who's strong and independent and someone that most women would respect, a dude like that isn't looking for a woman who's proud of the fact that she's strong and independent. So the only one who's looking for someone like that is someone who feels they need a woman who has her own strength and independence. And a dude like that is not someone she's going to respect. So she's sort of, and so what she's valuing, or what she thinks her quarry would value, it must not be, there's no way it would be valuing that, because by definition, that would not be who they are. So she clearly has not thought about what her I'm referring to as quarry or prey or whatever, but I'm really talking, this is just basic sales. It's basic, what is your pitch? And is that something that is actually going to resonate with your target market? And clearly she hasn't thought any of that through. And I feel bad for her, because I don't think she's a bad person. I'm sure she's probably, it's probably a good person. But I feel bad for her that the people around her just don't have the wherewithal, the intellect, the insights, or the experience to tell her, listen to yourself and recognize that the dude you're looking for would not be someone who'd be like, oh, this is what you're pitching is your major feature, is not what they're going to be looking for. And you should, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, it does. I was trying to think of a while ago is I think she, and I think a lot of people that are younger suffer from this, and it's unrealistic expectations.
Oh yeah.
I think she has an expectation of what a man should be. And it's like something she saw in a movie or read in a book, or it's the white picket fence, the house, the dog, everything. And that's not always life. You might be able to find that. Maybe it's a 1 in a million chance, but that's not always life. And I think a lot of people suffer from that. They have these expectations, and when their expectations aren't met, then they're sad. And then there's even people who expect to be happy 100% of the time. And I'm like, that's not realistic.
It's the Disney effect.
Doesn't happen.
It's the Disney effect, or the rom-com. It's the rom-com effect. That, oh yeah, there's gonna be some clumsy moment where we accidentally bump into each other, and maybe he'll annoy me at first, but then he's gonna grow on me or whatever. So it's the rom-com effect, that basically that they have these unrealistic expectations as to how things would materialize, as opposed to trying to figure out who's making you happy on a day by day. It's sad. I agree with you. Everything you're saying.
Well, thank you, man.
Thank you.
It was good talking to you. I don't want to keep you too much longer.
This was an awesome chat. Glad you got through, Bobby.
All right, thanks, man.
Have a good night, my brother. Take care. Bye-bye. It was a fun call. I think I can help with any topic tonight. Okay. Fine. I'm going to call you, Master Phillips. I'll call you back. Saying his 6478 number. I'll call you back. How do I not call back the Master of Recruitment? Let me see if I can find you here. There you are. All right. I'm going to give you a ring. Let's do it. But don't give me no Einstein. I don't want to talk Einstein. I'm just not. I'm not in the mood. You can cover any topic. Let's do it.
Hello.
It's the king of recruitment.
Good evening, everybody.
How are you, my brother?
Oh, I'm wonderful, Joe. Wonderful. How are you, my friend?
I am awesome. What kind of cat what's the name of the cat in your picture there?
Her name is Bo, B-O, like Bo Peep from Toy Story.
Or Bo Derek is what most people want.
Right. But I'm a millennial, so I think of everything in movies.
All right. So, what's on your mind tonight, my brother? I want to thank you for your remarkable recruitment work. You do an excellent job bringing people into the fold.
Okay, well, you stumbled into that topic accidentally. Here's the thing. I am less than, I don't know, 7 or 8 hours legally divorced now.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yay!
Is
Well,
that
it's a good thing?
It's a good thing? Well, congratulations.
Yeah. No, and we're still friends. It was totally civil. You know, we were married a while, but
are you still gonna be able to be the king of recruitment?
So now that I'm going to be dating again,
you're not gonna be around as much.
You might have to find some more recruiters.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Sorry,
look,
I want you to be happy at the end of the day. So like that's I'll suffer through.
No, I know. Anyway, all right. So enough about me. Let's talk about that woman who wants to talk about herself.
Okay.
I had a bunch of spicy ways of saying everything that your previous caller said more civilly, so I don't really know how much I can add to that.
Give me what you got.
It's basically she either has suitors and they don't meet her standards, or she actually isn't what she wants, or she didn't manifest like a self that makes her happy. You know what I mean? Like she did all the things that she was told would make her happy, and she's convinced she's happy, but she isn't because she didn't do any of the things that actually would have made her happy. If that makes I don't know if I'm making sense.
What you're saying is that people tell you that this should make you happy, and then she's learning the reality is she ain't.
Yeah, more or less. She's like, I've done all the things. Where's the happiness? And the thing is, you have to find the happiness and then do the things.
Yeah.
She did it in the wrong order.
Yeah, I think a lot of millennials make that mistake, and I think they're encouraged to make that. I think they're encouraged to make that mistake. I think they're strongly incentivized to make that mistake because the way our culture is set up, where basically they discourage young people from even looking for a lasting relationship until they're well into their 20s, and say, put your career first. That's the curse of feminism. Ultimately, is that they basically they at least strongly imply to women that they're a failure unless they have a thriving career. And it's so, and I've said this about feminism for a long time, that there's certain good things that feminism brought along in its infancy, but what they've done since, now I guess they have to stand up for women against trans, but so in that sense, perhaps they have some sort of functionality again. But this whole thing that they went through during, before trans became a thorn in their side, for 30 years, 40 years, they were just, they had gotten everything they wanted. They won. Good for them. They got equal pay or equal rights, all that other stuff, all that other good stuff, but then still not happy and telling women that you're a failure if you're a homemaker. You're an embarrassment to women if your primary function is that of a mother or wife. And that is a disservice to your constituency, because you should be standing up for all women and recognizing that a lot of women, if not the strong majority of women, have a natural maternal instinct, which is a blessing from God or science, depending on where you're coming from. But it's a blessing that they find happiness in that function. There's no happier life than doing something that you enjoy doing, even if it's strenuous and hard, and it can be challenging at times. And day to day, they might not feel like there's enough gratuity or recognition of your efforts, which I'm sure most mothers / housewives feel. That doesn't mean that there's an emptiness or lack of happiness. And I think that the beauty and grace and remarkable nobility of motherhood and being a wife is something that feminism pretends does not exist. And they spit on those women in ways that are gross. And they really did a disservice to so many women and raised them to think like this woman did, like you were just saying. That their career.
Did she mention if she wanted kids or not? I don't remember hearing that part. Do you remember?
She did not mention it. No.
Okay, because I do believe a small percentage of women who say they don't want kids actually end up, who also end up not having kids, are okay with that. I would imagine, just statistically, there has to be some, but it's probably a single digit. And I think that, and I'll go back to her mating issues. And men have this problem too, but it seems like it's more skewed towards women right now. You have to work on yourself, and you have to become attractive to the other sex, see what feedback you're getting, and then you pick your favorite one out of that. And I'm pretty sure Peterson says something like that, Jordan Peterson. But she basically broadcast, she did the first step, but she did it the way she was told, not the way she wanted to do it.
Do you know that?
And then, so she's either attracting men that she doesn't actually want, or and this is gonna offend some people, but she became a man.
Yeah.
So she's going to attract men who want to be the woman in the relationship. And there are men like that. And there are women who will fulfill that need. But she doesn't want to do that.
And I'm bringing up a comment from H. Coffee, which plays into exactly what you're saying. He says, can't speak for all men, but career/independence doesn't mean anything to me. In fact, I prefer to feel like I provide. She wasted her efforts. And that's exactly what you're saying.
Well, all right. I didn't want to get too spicy, but I was going to say basically this. Yeah, great. You make a lot of money, and if you're okay with me making less money, then that's okay. But
she likely would disrespect you for it.
Right. There's going to be an invisible part in the relationship that's always going to be there, that's negative on my side as the less earner. She could literally just leave and be fine without me, and that feels crappy to men. Sorry, women.
And I'll tell you something.
For feeling like that, but we like being needed. Sorry,
Phil. I'm gonna prove to you that it's true for this specific woman.
Okay.
I often say that the best way to measure a man is how they measure men. Meaning, what you think is important is what you're going to fixate on. And an architect looks at a building, he fixates on if it's an interesting building, he's going to fixate on what is the architecture, what do the blueprints probably look like for this? Could I design something like this? Someone else looking at the exact same building is thinking about how beautiful the landscape is, or wow, I wish I had windows like that. And someone else is just saying like, wow, these people are really rich. There's all different types of mindsets when people are looking at the exact same thing, and depending on where they're coming from, that is going to reflect how they're going to express themselves and what they're going to value when they're assessing that thing. This woman who's expressing that she's built this, career for herself, and that's what gives her value, is expressing that to her, a successful career, which almost certainly means money, is a reflection of actual value. When you're expressing that, that means that she needs to find someone who if she's going to value them, they have to be more successful than her. And someone who's really successful, a really successful, financially successful dude, doesn't tend to give the slightest damn about how much money she's bringing into it. So her career is meaningless to him. He's looking for someone, the target market. If that's her target market is basically sitting there saying like, no, I want someone who's actually going to appreciate me for being me. That when I'm done with the daily grind at the end of the day, that they're actually going to care about the fact as to whether or not I'm happy, or whether or not I've had a crap day and try to make my day better, or just appreciate me, or for some thoughts I share, or for my humor, my personality, and not be sitting here assessing me for this because everyone else has judged me based on my money. So how the hell is she making herself something that a guy that she wants is going to appreciate? She's not. So she's unfortunately, she's put herself in a position where what she's valuing is dooming her to misery. And I respectfully submit that too often that's a result of either Disney/rom-com movies or feminism. But it's likely, maybe not directly, maybe it's some friends of hers who are influencing her to think along the Disney rom-com schedule or the feminist schedule. But that's what she's learned to value and it's very likely that whoever she got those values, the people who helped sculpt that were embracing one of those two philosophies. That's my thought.
I actually just came up with an interesting thought experiment for the ladies. I don't know what chat's doing right now. I can't see YouTube, but I hope it's not burning down. But or actually, I do. I kind of do hope it's burning down. I'm in a spicy mood right now. I think. All right. Think of this. For the ladies, think of this. Picture the woman in that video, and then picture a clone of her, except she grew up. She's 8 out of 10 skill in home ec. She wants to have 5 or 6 kids. All right, great. The other woman is the same woman. Let's say she makes 100K or whatever. They both want the same thing. They both want a high value man who makes 200 something K and also wants all the things that the home ec woman wants. Which one is the man gonna pick? All looks and age being equal. Which one is the man gonna pick?
Every time.
Obvious. 99 out of 100.
Yep.
Or 999 out of 1,000.
Yep.
And you can be as upset about that as you want till whatever that phrase is that I can't remember, till the cows come home.
Or till the pigs come home.
whatever
Because
animal comes
if
home.
you're gonna have hamburger, it's gonna be that.
Hamburgers. That's probably where I got cows from.
All right, my brother. This was great. Thank you so much for the call. Well, I guess
thank
for urging me a call.
Well, thank you for calling me back. I appreciate you, Joe.
I appreciate you too. Have a great night, my brother, and good luck on the dating scene, my brother.
Well, I appreciate that. I got one on Saturday, but I'm not gonna stop listening.
I know. I'll still you keep your title for at least to the end of the month. So
I mean, if I can quit cigarettes, I could bump my recruitment numbers back up again.
There you go.
Pretty decently.
There you go.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
All right. Have a good night, my brother.
Do you still smoke? How did you quit, or how did you reduce your smoking?
I switched over to this, and I'm not going to kid you.
I hate those things.
I'm not going to kid you. I hated them also, but I was genuinely afraid I was going to die.
And that's fair, but I hate them because it actually makes my lungs feel worse.
Oh, okay. So I don't have that experience. My lungs feel, thank God, much better with this than they did with cigarettes. I would be laying in bed at night and be like on a Friday night where I hadn't smoked in, because of Sabbath, I hadn't smoked in like 6 hours, and I'd be wheezing and feeling like I'm not sure I'm going to wake up. Like that's how low my lung capacity was, and I was like,
whoa.
I really, and then I started thinking, like, especially once I got this job where I'm using my voice for 2 hours a night, and like I was like coughing all the time. The early shows you can see I'm still like coughing all the time and stuff like that, or clearing my throat. And I was like, I really need to take care. If this is what my career is going to be, I really need to take care of my voice. So that was another incentive. And I know a lot of people whine about my vaping, but I'll tell you right now, thank God. Thank God. I really, it's like night and day between this and cigarettes. It's not even the same thing.
That's why I ask, because it's like most people say, "Oh, the vapes are great," but it's like I don't like them. They don't. It makes me feel worse. It satiates my nicotine cravings, yes, but it makes my coughs hurt more or something. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
Wow. So you must have been up to 2 packs a day if your cessation after 6 hours. I was
like 25 cigarettes a day.
Oh, okay, that's a pack and a quarter. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
No, that's a fair question. All right, have a good night, my brother. Take care.
All right, good night, chat. Bye.
Bye. All right. I'm gonna just pull this up here. And I'm going to tell you, I'll give a condensed version of something I said earlier on Locals. And that is, Nick is my friend. I'm always here for him for anything that he needs. And I mean that completely sincerely. So, that's the very condensed thing. That's the very condensed answer. Is that I would drop anything to help Nick. So, if you need my help, where am I at? Okay. Okay, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna turn. I guess I'll turn. I was thinking about going to the next woman because he's in this clip. He's showing two women talking. Let's get the second woman. Let's get the second woman. Let's watch this real quick.
But
I am curious for you guys, though. I am very curious. Do you think you need to find someone? You need, in order to be happy, you have to share that happiness with someone, or do you think that you can be completely happy without sharing that happiness with someone? I think it's a really interesting question. So I'm not sure I agree with him on that. I think for a lot of people it's true. A lot of people. I just don't know if it's true for everyone.
she's been unsuccessful so far in her pursuits, and here is her.
I'm not someone that posts or cries or anything on the internet, so this is a new one for me. I guess I need girls to rally with me and lift me up because I feel so defeated right now. I've been trying to meet someone, just anybody worth my time for years. And dating apps are so awful. I don't need to explain to you how awful the dating apps are. So I've been trying to meet people in public, and they're still trash when I do randomly meet people in public. But tonight takes the cake. I just can't help but feel like I'm gonna turn into this because I'm never gonna meet someone. And for everybody who's gonna tell me it'll come along when you least expect it, I've been hearing that for 7 years, okay? I'm so sick of hearing that. There's such a thing as people that just don't find their person and don't get married. So I'm a realist. And the realist in me is starting to think that's gonna be me. And I'm depressed now over it.
So that's the beginning and the end of the video. In the middle, she tells a truly mortifying story about showing up to an event, apparently that same night when she recorded this, at a comedy club where there was supposed to be some sort of a singles event, like other singles were supposed to be there that she could meet.
And by the way, I feel bad for that woman. I would never mock that woman. Certainly not what I just saw now. I feel genuinely bad for her. This is such a terrible situation.
And she sits all the way in the front row where the other singles are supposed to be, but to her horror, nobody else shows up. The rest of the crowd is made up of groups and couples, all sitting several rows back. So now she's alone in the front with every comic who comes on stage, she says, pointing out that she's alone and in the front. And
oh my God. Wow. Yeah, now I really feel bad for her.
The event ends with the MC handing her a gift bag to congratulate her for being brave, and then the audience claps.
Wow. I really feel bad for her.
So really the worst case scenario when you show up to a place like that by yourself. I mean, I can remember once when I was single many years ago, going to see a movie by myself, and part of me worried that the theater manager or someone would come into the room, stop the film, point to me and say, attention everyone, this guy here's alone. Look at this alone guy, please, and feel sorry for him. Now that didn't happen, probably was not very likely to happen, but something like that really did happen to this poor woman, and for that she has all of our sympathy, doubly so in this case because she's actually trying to meet someone outside of the dating app. She's attempting to form a connection out in the real physical world, and this is how it worked out. Now, it's not just women having these problems, obviously. In fact, one guy replied to this last video with his own story. He posted, quote, "My app experience. I'm 6'2", 205 pounds, all my hair and teeth, fit, decently okay looking, retired veteran with full benefits, my own place at the beach, my own business. In 3 years on dating apps, I matched with tons of chicks, maybe 3 willing to meet in person, never went anywhere. I love doing outdoor activities, mountains, oceans, wasn't into texting endlessly. I'd match and say hello and ask if they want to grab a drink. 90% of the time, I'd never even hear back, including the ones who liked me first." So a financially stable man in good physical shape, yet he's meeting on average, he says, 1 woman a year, and none of those connections have led to anything. On paper, there's no reason why he should struggle this much to find a woman. Just as on paper, there's no reason that the women in those videos should struggle to find men. But
I do think it's possible, by the way, because whenever someone says something like this, whoever the speaker is always the victim, right? So the dude, if he's speaking here, he's the victim, and he's, we always identify with the speaker. So, and if a woman responds, and expresses herself well, so she's the victim, and we tend to associate with the victim as opposed to thinking that you're the problem. You're really the problem yourself. I think a large part of the problem that society has today is that so much of our social development is online, and the ability to interact with someone and gel with someone else is a lost art. Meaning, I think a lot of people who are generation behind me just really don't understand how to. It's funny because I hear someone saying there's too many players. I saw someone saying that earlier. Too many men are players. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm really expressing almost the exact opposite. Like they just don't understand how to present themselves in a way that's going to be alluring and in a sincere way. I don't mean like in a scummy type of like, how do I find a way to get another notch on my, my bedpost, but like as far as actually interacting with people in a way that they're able to form a relationship with them without frightening them away by becoming some sort of crazy stalker or, desperate, like displaying desperation. And there's a very fine line to walk there as far as allowing your vulnerabilities to show in order to humanize yourself while at the same time not coming across as needy, which is in the social world, neediness is leprosy. There's no worse. There's nothing that's going to chase anyone away faster than neediness. So learning that balance as to where to walk between neediness, between opening up and allowing vulnerability without appearing unsettlingly needy or alienatingly needy is a lost art by both men and women today. Because if you cannot, it's almost impossible to learn that through social media interactions. It's impossible. Because those are the most fleeting, plastic type of things. Even being forced to express yourself on a phone, at least it's got the instancy of like a conversation that's happening there. It's a far more intimate correspondence. It's far more intimate. You hear the person's voice, you can hear their tone, you can hear, it's a far more intimate connection. Now I understand a lot of social media is with like video, which is as opposed to just texting, which is similar to a phone. It's just not this, but nothing replaces the in-person experience. Nothing. Yeah, that woman made me sad. When I was watching her, I felt utter sadness for her. Utter sadness. I'm going to throw something out. She wants someone to hold the door open for her, but she was told that was bad all her life. It's biology, accepted. That's likely true. That's kind of a lot of what I was describing earlier. So, good job, Achi Joe. Achi is Hebrew for my brother, in case you're wondering. That's from Ski Bro, the Hebrew. Grifty wants to call in. It's hard for me to know who's trying to call in. Why inflation impacts dating, can't afford it. Well, that's the world in general. My cousin is ruining family functions by wearing a dress. Am I the jerk for not taking my kids to functions? Great grandma is driving into town for a function. Oh wow, I'm getting to play like Dear Abby. Okay. My cousin is ruining family functions by wearing a dress. For not taking my kids to functions. Great grandma is driving into town for a function. This is a great question. This is a great question. I don't want my kid around that. I don't want my kid around that. Okay. Here's my answer on that. Here's my answer on that. If we took this dude, and I assume it's a dude in a dress, what you're talking about here. Now you got your kids here. I'm assuming they're an age was impressionable and they don't know anything about the trans community. So now you're saying, I don't want them to see that and have this be normalized. Well, imagine you had a female cousin and she was a nudist, right? Or any cousin, can be a male cousin, let's say, who's a nudist. And be like, I don't want my kid thinking that this is normal. So I'm not letting my kid be around that. This is poisoning their mind into thinking, into normalizing this. And that is bad for their long-term development. So no, I don't think protecting your children's minds makes you the jerk. What I think you need to do is you need to express to your family members who are upset with you about it why it is that how you are, how this your objective is not like you're trying to be hostile, but that you care about the perspectives that are molding your children. And yeah, this is not something, and telling them, and not telling them, but keeping them innocent from nudity is no different from keeping their minds innocent from being warped into thinking that this is a healthy way, a healthy option. So no, I don't think you're the ass at all in this. I think you're making the right call. Imagine, okay, I'll give you another example. Okay, imagine, I'm assuming, let's say you're a Christian, and you knew that this cousin is going to go over to your kids and start talking to them about why they need to reject Jesus and embrace Islam. And people be like, why are you keeping your kids away? Why are you keeping them away? Now, they'll try and distinguish, if you make this comparison, they'll try and distinguish and say, but they're just being them. Your cousin is not going to go directly over to your kids. But this is where, in this instance, the visual is no different than someone having a conversation with your kids. Because it's clearly going to perk their minds into that direction. And I think most people will recognize that. Why would you let your kids' minds be poisoned like that? So the more I think about this, no, you're totally in the right. Totally in the right. Good question. Sometimes I need to sort of think through the whole thing. I think you're right. They need to stop looking for love on internet apps and just hire a yen. Maybe. There's no social on social media. That's well said, Mary. Love the call-in sessions. Might actually try the number one night. Cheers, Joe in chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm enjoying this too. I've had some great calls tonight. Really great calls. I'm going to take a couple more because you guys have been inspiring me. I'm going to turn off my do not disturb and now start taking calls in case anyone wants to call in. Let me peek over into the ghetto, make sure I'm not missing something important in the ghetto. I have to peek into the ghetto. We're talking about relationships, by the way.
Call from
Grifty.
Yeah. You made it. You made it.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
I'm great. How you doing, Griff?
Pretty good, buddy. Hey, I said I only needed 3 minutes. But the first thing, you were talking earlier about the problems you have with Rumble Chat. I wanted to steer you towards using Rumble Studio.
Oh,
one, it's free, and we know you like saving shekels, so that's always good.
Right.
And two, it incorporates all the chats, including Rumble. So with a lot of the same UI as StreamYard. So you might want to look into it, try it out a little bit.
I would use that in place of StreamYard.
Correct. And it has they're coming out with functionality in the future for like call-in shows like this, where you can literally bring up people from the chat, like with that other streaming service you were using for a while.
That
for
TV.
Yeah. So something to look at going forward. The other thing I wanted to say is I didn't know your birthday was June 25th. That's pretty cool. My wife's due date is June 26th.
Nice.
So
you just got to induce 1 day early and you're good to go.
There you go. There you go.
It's the sucky time of year to be born. It's the suckiest time of year to be born. I mean, it's kind of. I always made a joke that people around the world celebrate my half birthday. Like everyone around the world, they give gifts to each other. They're all like warm and fuzzy on my half birthday, and then they forget my birthday altogether. Or
right.
or I guess you could say it literally makes me the Antichrist. But
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a good thing to claim, Joe.
I'm just being real. I'm like
I know.
Like
no.
I
So
guess
we're actually excited because all of the other kids are winter birthdays. So we've never been able to do like pool parties and stuff like that. So that's an exciting thing for us.
Yeah. For the kid himself, it's really not that cool. And the reason it's not that cool is because like everyone is either they're not in school, so no one, your friends are around. They're not in camp, so none of your friends are around. And basically none of your friends are around during that week in June. That's what I always hated about. That's what I always.
I mean, I guess I could see that like when I was growing up, like that makes a lot of sense because I lived in an urban environment. I grew up in Baltimore, but where we live now, I'm in a very rural part of town, very tight-knit community, huge family structure. So I think that end of it's covered. So hopefully we'll see. And then the third thing I really wanted to ask is I don't ask for a lot, but anybody who knows me knows Twitter is like my stomping grounds. And I am actually banned on Twitter right now, at least for the next 7 days. So I was, I made a joke. Tim Pool, and it wasn't bad. Tim Pool tweeted out something a couple days ago about he wanted to make a tweet about LGBT rights in Palestine, but he thought maybe that was a little bit too far. And I quote tweeted it and I said, yeah, Tim, that's a leap, an involuntary one off of a tall building. Which I thought was funny.
It is funny.
I thought was funny. Yeah. Well, apparently that's glorifying violence on Elon's X.com now. So,
oh gosh,
yeah, I call it a 7-day ban.
Yeah, they're not going to undo that.
No, I appealed and it was shot down in like.
They made you take it down. They made you take it down? And then they tell you have 7 days until you can come back?
Correct. And they tell me I can still DM with people, but none of my DMs are working.
Oh, man. That sucks.
Yeah. So I do have my alt for my Rumble show. It's at Not a Test IRL. But other than that, just if anybody could, look for some tweets. If you see something about it, like it, share it, get the word out. Just, I think the problem is the staffing at X is still the same people. And I think they're doing stuff that Elon doesn't know about. And, all we can do is raise a ruckus when it happens. And
Word my tweet for me. Word my tweet for me. What do you want me to say?
What tweet?
What tweet you want me to send out? I'm sending it right now.
I don't know. Just if you go to here, do this one. Search my alt account, which is at Not a Test, Not a Test IRL. And the pin tweet on that, if you could just retweet that one, that's got my pictures of the band and a copy of Tim's tweet and everything else. Nothing that'll get you. I didn't repeat anything, so you're safe.
I was gonna say, you get me.
Yeah, no, I didn't
make me happy.
No, I didn't repeat anything. It's shitty because if my tweet was glorifying violence, then Tim's tweet was glorifying, on the same lines, and
yours was a little more overt. Let's be real, but still, I'm still gonna quote tweet you and send you out.
I appreciate it. So, I did have some thoughts on the whole women marriage thing if you wanted to get into it, but I know you had said you were kind of wrapping it up. So it's up to you.
Can you wrap it into 90 seconds?
The one thing, I guess I'll pick the top subject that I wanted to address. It is possible nowadays to have a woman who works and still kind of fulfills that need that they've been told they need, and to still work around that and be the breadwinner. Like with my wife, we've figured out a way. She's an office manager. She makes good money, but I started my own business. So I make my own hours. I work around her hours, and I still, it upsets her, but I still bring home more than she does as a carpenter, as a contractor. Mm-hmm. And, so as men, if that's something that your partner wants to do, we're supposed to be the entrepreneurial ones, the risk takers, the ones who go out and get what they need. Like, go do that. Like, there's a lot of guys making a lot of excuses, and they're buying into some of this red pill stuff. Like, oh, it's all this, women are all the problem and this and that. Well, as a father of 2 teenage sons, I can tell you these younger kids coming up, they're not presenting a lot to make themselves attractive to any woman who's worthwhile. So I think men need to start taking responsibility, and I don't know. I'm really irritated with the red pill community because there are a lot of issues with family court and stuff like that need to be addressed as far as men's rights goes.
Yeah.
But this whole they jumped the shark, and they've basically become feminism for men, where it's like, oh, the other sex is the problem and this and that. And it's like, no, you look in the mirror, fix yourself. And
I definitely think there are problems on both sides. I think there are definitely problems on both sides. But
I mean, I agree. But there's good people out there. You just got to look for them. Stop trying to meet people at comedy clubs and stuff like that. Maybe go meet someone at church. Kind of my best advice.
I don't know if she wants to hear that, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the problem.
That's for a different day, my brother. I sent out a tweet. I quote tweeted you. So hopefully it gets a little traction for you.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
You have a good night, my brother.
You too. Bye.
Bye. And Doug over here saying you have the right to protect your kids from people you don't agree with and don't have the same morals, and your family should respect that. I agree with that. 110%. All right. I'll reopen up those lines for like another little bit here. I'll take one more call before we get out of here. Or come meet someone here at our cult. Yeah, our cult. Wait, what cult? Where you're in a cult? Where is this cult? What's the name of this cult you're in? I don't know what that even means. You call Joe Sound. Joe Sound guy.
Call from
Frank.
All right. I saw that he had called. I think Joe Sound guy called me. That's what I saw. Frank.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
What's on your mind tonight, Frank?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing and picking up the mantle that Mr. Barnes threw down.
Oh, my pleasure. Sometimes.
I've been following I've been following it very closely, and I think you're doing God's work. So
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. I really do. I haven't even tried pushing my Give Send Go, which I should be doing. Because I'm going to put that up now. But yeah,
that would be a good idea.
Yeah, but
and you should definitely be over 100,000 by now, as many times as I have had to resubscribe.
yeah, I think so. I think so, but it is what it is. Hopefully by now I'm over 97. I haven't checked tonight, but I came into tonight at 96,978. So I'll put up the little cartoon graphic reminding folks to like and subscribe. But what else you got on your mind?
Well, like I was surprised I got through, to be honest with you, but I think the hamburger girl is quite interesting.
Indeed.
And it's got to be a grift, because nobody cannot know that by now.
You're saying she's trolling. You think she's trolling?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And the other poor girl, I feel sorry for her as much as you do, but I think people have it wrong, though. You can't look for somebody to make you happy. I mean, your wife probably doesn't make you happy. You're happy with your wife.
Yeah.
You need to find somebody that you can grow with and share life with. Not if you're looking for somebody to make you happy, you're never going to find it. You have to do that on your own.
I agree with you on that. I think that's part of the Disney mentality, is that you can find someone who's going to make you happy as opposed to finding your own happiness. And I think that's actually a healthy thing. And I'll tell you why. Because when that woman said that the second woman said she's been waiting 7 years for it to happen when you least expect it. The reason there's some truth to it will happen when you least expect it is kind of what you're talking about here, Frank, which is if you're a happy person, you draw people toward you. And if you're feeling empty, that is something that people pick up on, that aura about you. You can't, if you're feeling miserable, people are picking up on that aura, and they're never going to approach you. Oh, when I come in to do a show here, I know that I have to be at a certain minimum level of energy if the show is going to be any good at all. Because if I come in here flat, people feel it. The audience feels it. And I'm cheating the audience, not intentionally, but it's like the experience is a very different experience. And if I come in a bad mood or angry or something like that, like I will work to put out to sort of drive those thoughts that are nagging at me out of my brain, because I know that the product is going to end up suffering as a result of that. So, and it's the same thing in personal life. When you're walking, if you're walking tall, like literally putting your shoulders back and walking tall and proud and exuding confidence and happiness, especially in a world where that's so rare, it has such a profound impact. People look at you differently. They look at you with a certain, it's just a different level of respect. It's a different level of just being drawn to that atmosphere. So you're right. You're right. You have to actually find your own happiness first, and not have that negativity. It's a great point. It's a great point.
Yeah, you can't make somebody happy, but
Yeah.
you can be happy with someone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
You know what I mean?
but the point is that you have to already be happy though, right? I mean, yeah, you're actually hitting on a second point, a slightly different point here, which is that you can't that I sort of took that and sort of morphed it a little bit, to be fair, where I was saying the happiness has to come from within. But
Well, absolutely.
But when you're saying, and if you have that happiness within, then you can be happy with someone else, as opposed to looking for them to find a way to basically be your entertainment or your source of happiness, or your source of like why it is that you have a reason to live. So
Well, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, my wife and I, the best times we have are just doing stuff together. It's not like because I'm trying to make her happy or she's trying to do something. It's just random stuff. It's
Yeah.
the being together part that is what makes it.
All right, Frank, I got to run along here. Thank you so much for the call, my brother.
All
You're
right.
great.
Thank you for taking it. I appreciate it.
Have a good night, my
Keep
friend.
going. Keep up the fight.
I'm gonna keep fighting. We got this. Good night, my brother.
Yes, you do.
Joe, I'm calling you. So
Hey, Joe.
you.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How you doing tonight?
I saw you doing the call-in thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I finally got a chance I got a moment, and I thought maybe I'll see if I can get in. I thought you were
I love how
winding
he
it up.
says
and it's like,
he got a moment. This guy has my phone number. He can text me whenever the hell he wants. He knows that. Like as if like I'm so unreachable.
well, I'm not going to bother you. I mean, you're in the middle of a damn show.
Right. Well, I wouldn't see a text in the middle of the show, but you're not going to do Einstein, right? We're not doing Einstein, right, Joe? Because I think we've done that in the past. I don't want to do Einstein with you again.
No, it's bad.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the cousin in the dress problem.
Okay, I like that. I thought that was a good question. What do you got? What are your thoughts?
I think you were a little short. You gave half the right answer. I think there's another part of this that's worth exploring, and it goes into the nuance and the details of the parent and the children on the ground. And it might not be the same answer for a lot of circumstances. What you didn't discuss, what you didn't mention is there are people like this in the world. You are going to come across these people. How do you deal with them? Right? This is a lesson. This is an opportunity. It might be, if the kids are the right age, if the environment's amiable, right? It could be a teachable moment. And you've got a lot of control over the variables in a family environment where you decide, we're just going to leave now, or we're going into this having prepared for it because we've had a discussion, right? You can control things in that circumstance where you otherwise couldn't. Now, maybe they're too young. Maybe the cousin's a flaming jerk off. I don't know. Or maybe it's just he's a completely reasonable person who is otherwise wearing a dress, and the kids are 7, 8, 9 years old, and they're pretty mature for their age, and your house isn't really stable, and maybe it is a teachable moment.
It's an interesting point you're making. I think the age of the kids is obviously very important. I'm assuming that we're talking about kids who are under 10 here when he's asking me that question. So I baked that into my answer, an assumption that these kids are, let's say, are prepubescent. Because I assume that if they're already like 11, 12, 13, that they probably have had sufficient encounters, that this is not their first rodeo with this. And so that's why I was advocating for the maintaining their innocence. You're raising an interesting point here, which is, well, look, they're going to come across it at some point. Why not use the opportunity here to help them help structure their mindset so that they can when they encounter in the future, they're going to be, properly armed with an understanding of as to what they're processing from a healthy
Well,
perspective.
this could very well happen in a grocery store.
Right. So, okay.
And would you like that to be the first time?
Well, so the difference is this. I mean, also, you're right. There are a million variables which you can't throw into a $5 super chat, which would really have a dramatic effect. Like, in other words, if this is a cousin, the nature of the relationship with the cousin is very important. If this is a cousin that they're likely to see, there's some cousins who are more. There's certain people who are more dominant as far as in the environment than others. Meaning, I have on my wife's side of the family. So she has a brother and she has 3 sisters who are all married. So that means that from her side of the family, I have 4 brothers-in-law. Her brother happens to be a very dominant person, personality-wise, in a very positive way. He's like very funny. He's very warm, and he likes creating a happy vibe type of thing. Like, he's the guy who'll like all of a sudden just show up with like $1,000 worth of meat and just start making a barbecue and then have a party game. And like, it's like, we're all just hanging out. The next thing you know, it turns into like a mini kind of party. Like, he'll have like, some sort of stereo sound system. And the next thing you know, it's like, what was going to be just like, hanging out becomes like this little party. That's just who he is. He has to be very funny also. So he's but my point is, so to his nieces and nephews, many of whom are very young, he is the most popular uncle because he engages with kids and he's just a fun guy to hang out with. He happens to have a great sense of humor, and he's always been he's been for the last 20 years. He's incredibly popular. So he's someone, as opposed to, let's say, a different brother-in-law of mine who basically has almost next to nothing to do with the kids, and takes care of his own kids and his own family, who's much less of an influence on his nieces and nephews. My point is, they're both the same relation or relatively the same relation to these kids, and one of them would be far more impactful as far as sculpting their mind and how they think about things or what they value as being good than a different one, and the one who's more reserved, who would have almost no impact on them. It's just like, well, that's weird. Why is Dave wearing a dress? You know what I'm saying? It's like it just totally it's totally different. And that's why, like you're saying, there's so many variables. But what I want to get to the nugget of what you're saying, which is take this as an opportunity to not a bad thing, but take it potentially as like a good thing that you have an opportunity to control their encounter with this. Right? That's essentially what you're getting at.
It could be that, and I wouldn't discount that out of hand.
Right.
And you could be completely right. Let me just restate that. Not knowing the details, sure, it could just be wholly inappropriate and all the hell no. And just because my kids are going to see nudity doesn't mean bring them to a strip bar. This is not that. This might be a teachable moment.
Okay,
so
over here you have but here you have a difference now they will start breaking down the under 10 population and what they can grasp and what they cannot grasp, what they're likely to grasp, what they're not able to grasp, is now going to be very important variable as far as whether or not it's okay to have your kids around this. Because certain kids, if they're 8, 9, then they're at an age where you could really start to maybe turn this into a teachable moment. If they're 5, 6, if they're 5 or 6, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to explain things in a way that they're going to understand and structure for them. When I would teach each of my kids about when it comes to teaching sex ed, right? So when I was dealing with, I basically taught sex ed to my sons, and my daughters were taught by their mother, and my rule of thumb is I basically would wait until. I mean, I would wait until they came and asked me, which each of them did when it was right for them to ask me. And as soon as they asked me, I'm like, okay, this is how it works. But understand this. So in this context, with each of them, I was dealing with them on a day-by-day basis and interacting with them. And they felt comfortable enough with me that they would talk to me about anything. So that's why I knew that when they got to the age where they had curiosity about sex, that they would feel comfortable talking to me. And just, I mean, it's not really something that is easily translatable for most of you. I recognize that because I was literally studying Jewish studies with them on a day-by-day basis, and frequently the term in Mishnah, which is the Jewish studies I was studying with them, that is used for sex is the word bia, which is a Hebrew word which technically translates as coming to someone, like approaching someone. So it's so when I would be studying with them and we're doing in Hebrew, translating to English, I would just say, I just wouldn't translate that word. I would just say, or a situation of bia, or this, and then I would translate basically all the other words and never translate that. And the first time they would ask me when they're 8, 9 years old, so I would say to them, oh, bia, that's the type of touching between men and women. And then when they get older, they'd be like, but what is it? And that's when I was like, okay, they're ready for it now. So I'm like, okay, I'll walk you through it. And here it is. Now, then I had a situation where when my kids were going to sleepaway camp, and they sent a letter home to me, and they said, as difficult as this may be, and while we hope that it certainly is something that, none of your children will ever encounter or will ever have to deal with our camp, we do have to recognize, given the current environment of the world, that unfortunately, there are people out there who are predators. So we urge every parent to talk to their kid, talk to their son about inappropriate touching in whatever way they feel is appropriate. So this is essentially what you're describing here, arming them to basically deal with an encounter that they may not have ever experienced before, right?
Yeah, very much so. As I remember you telling that story once on the show.
Many years. You're old school enough to remember it. Yeah, because you've been here. He's with Joe Sound Guy here. Is one of he's one of my original 25 listeners. So yeah.
Well, I'm totally not a cult follower.
Not at all. See, he understands that it's not at all a cult.
All I could think about was the meeting that they must have had at camp before they sent that letter.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did.
Guys, I think this has got to be the responsible thing to do. And right. Somebody's going to pipe up there. They think we're freaking maniacs here. We can't send that letter.
Right. But it became the norm. It became the norm, like where every camp would send it out. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a period, let's say in the 1990s, none of them would have sent it out, and the aughts at some point it became the norm that they're going to send this out to ensure that these kids are not left as vulnerable prey for some sicko who could potentially destroy their lives.
And that's wholly appropriate.
Yeah, 100%.
It's wholly appropriate.
I was bothered by the fact that I got the letter, but not bothered by the fact that they sent it. I was bothered by the state of the world. That I was like, this was not the state of the world when I was going to sleepaway camp, but it is today, and they're right for sending me the letter. It just sucks that this is the reality. So
true.
Yeah.
So I've been away. I've been busy. I'm sorry. I haven't started to chat. I like to be in the chat. And I like to be in the locals and bless everyone with my gifts and all of that. I've been busy as hell.
Well, that's good, right?
I got to tell you why I'm in Vegas. Our son is going to take his citizenship swearing-in ceremony.
Awesome! Congratulations.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah,
he dragged his feet on it a little bit. He waited till 9.5 years to get all this shit done because he's an idiot. But we love him all the same. No, we're really proud. We're really excited.
That's really awesome.
And if you've never been to one of those things, and I tell this for everybody out there, if you've never had the opportunity to go see one of those swearing-in ceremonies for citizenship, take it. If you anybody, because it's really cool to see every manner of person who goes to the trouble, and it is kind of hassle. If you've never been through it, or you don't know anybody who's been through it, maybe you have. With the whole Israeli, you got a lot of people who may have immigrated.
I've never been to
country.
one. No, I've never been to one. No. But I imagine it's probably really cool. You see people from literally every stripe at one of those.
Yes. And they all try to be here. They all want to be here.
Yeah.
And they've gone through quite an ordeal to get through the paperwork alone.
And they probably appreciate that American privilege in ways that, unfortunately, too many Americans fail and take for granted.
I'll tell you, our son, our son does, and so does our daughter. And it's the best thing ever. So we're really excited and proud of him. So that's the good news.
That's great.
And I don't have another day off until the end of June, so I won't be around much.
All right, but you're making coin
when I can.
You're making coin, right?
Yeah, I'm making some coin. Yeah, I'm going to need to take. I think I'm off in July.
Oh, God.
I'm taking most of the damn month.
Look, when the rain comes,
I am trying to.
When the rain comes, you gotta grab the rain.
Yeah, you make hay when the sun shines and all that jazz, and how it is. But I am following all your. I think you're just getting cock-blocked in court, man. I think you know what it looks like to me. It looks to me, and maybe you can't comment on this. It just smells like we'll drag our feet until it doesn't matter anymore. Mootness. Have a nice day. That's all I can hear as you describe the stories. It's like it feels so wrong that they're just kicking your can down the road with your case. Makes me upset.
Okay, since you expressed it like that, I will tell you that when I was on the phone with the clerk today, this is something one of the things I mentioned in locals. But when I was on the phone with the clerk today, I told him how this is not about me. It's not about good logic. It's not even about Trump. But this is really that I just feel really strongly that this is all about the rights of criminal defendants to not be gagged. And this is a new yardstick that long after Trump is gone and people forgotten about good logic, that this is something that is going to become the norm. And that is why I'm trying to stop this, because our free speech rights are so precious. And what's aggravating to a lot of people, because I got a lot of fans who watch me, what's aggravating to them is that many of them feel that the court and the clerk are strangling this application and making it impossible for me to get a dispositive decision, so I can't even appeal it. And they're going to wait. And we all know that evidence that the defense rested yesterday, and they're going to be going for jury deliberations. And you're telling me I got 4 to 6 weeks? I got to wait now. I got to wait 4 to 6 weeks to get some dispositive decision. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't. A lot of people out there. I'm not telling you that this is how I feel. I'm echoing that what Joe just said right now. Not me, Joe on the phone. What he just said is the sentiment of a lot of people, that it seems like there's a purposeful, to them, not me, it seems to them like there's a purposeful effort to strangle this until it's moot. And
it doesn't appear that they've taken it seriously enough to act on it in a timely manner. That's as a layperson looking at it, going, well, why wouldn't you at least hear it and tell the man no?
Yeah, and that's what I said. I said, please give me a no. If the answer is no, just give me the no. But to sit here and strangling and just like there's no answer for you, no answer for you, no answer for you, and not letting me try to appeal, it feels as if it's much worse than getting a no. So
yeah, and it's not worse for you,
right? It's not doing anything to me.
Process. It's worse it could be worse for free speech going forward.
Yeah, I want to be 100% crystal clear here in case there's any confusion. I'm not accusing the court or the clerk of intentionally doing that, but the net result makes a lot of people feel that way. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a layperson. I don't really know the process. I mean, I read a book once. What the hell do I know? But just as a layperson, look at it from the outside, it's like, the appearance matters, fellas.
Yep. All right, my brother.
Let's get on it. Hey, thanks for the chat. It's great to hear you.
It's awesome to hear your voice as well. And you can feel free to text me anytime you want, brother.
Will do. I'll send you a picture or two.
I'm not promising to respond,
up on
but if I don't respond,
no,
don't get
you never-
offended. But because I got a lot of people text me, and I'm like,
well, you're
tomorrow.
so busy now with the court thing. I don't want to bother you with any trigger. You know?
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good night, my brother.
Go get him, Joe.
Take care.
Good night, man. Bye bye.
All right. I think Sassy 1962 wants to call you about that women topic stuff, and keep up the excellent work, Mr. Lawgic. Member for 2 months. Thank you so much, brother. Yeah, I don't know how to tell. I'd like to talk to someone about that women topic stuff. I'd like to hear from women on that. But I just see phone numbers. There's no way for me to know. When I stand tall and throw my shoulders back, my beer belly looks twice as big. That's why. That's why you do it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be ashamed of that. My Kool-Aid is about to run out. Oh, great one for you. There's no Kool-Aid. I don't know who gave this guy Kool-Aid. He's a member for 1 month. Who gave it to him? It's his first month. Sorry, her first month. It's Lisa's first month here, and she's already got Kool-Aid. No, this poor woman. This poor woman. It's not part of the following. When a man and woman love each other very much, and the woman has plausible deniability, and the man is secretly into feet and consent. What? I don't know what this even means. Are you talking about when you can find happiness? No, I don't know what the. When the man and woman love each other very much, and you're talking about how you explain it to kids, and the woman has plausible deniability, and the man is secretly into feet and consent. Oh my God, that's terrible. That's terrible. That sounds so wrong. That's so stinking wrong. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything here because other people get mad at me in Rumble. I check my Rumble for any rants in Rumble. Okay, I think we're good there. I think I'm good on Rumble. And here's $20 with 30% for YouTube. Oh, that's so thoughtful. That's so thoughtful. Thank you. Thank you. I want you to know something. It's funny you see, this is God. Not you, Charles. This is God. This is God. Because I don't remember anybody ever tacking on the extra percent for YouTube. I don't remember that ever happening. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. Maybe one of you has in the past. I just don't remember it happening. So if you did in the past and I forgot, I apologize. The reason I'm taking note of this is because today I actually made a charity donation. And I was asked, so there's this thing called charity.com, which is spelled charity spelled with a D instead of Y. And they asked me if I wanted to tack on an extra $50 for the processing fee. Or should I have that come out of the donation? So I was like, fine. I was like, and I actually was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? If someone did that for me, I'd really appreciate it. That it's like they're making sure they're giving me like the full amount and eating the processing fee. Because I had seen in Give, Send, Go, and also sometimes it'll be the PayPal. The people who give me money on PayPal sometimes will do that. PayPal people or Venmo people, they will sometimes do that. In fact, I know like Elizabeth, who gives me like $50 every month. It's like an even 50. So I know that there it happens. It doesn't really happen on YouTube or Rumble. So, but I took note of where people had done it in PayPal and Venmo, and I was like, you know what? I always appreciate when people did that. So I'm giving this money. Let me give it real. So I was like, I'll leave the processing. So and I was like, and I'm a big believer. I'm a big believer that everything, every penny I earn is completely in God's control. Like it's so patently obvious. So patently obvious. It's not a matter of how hard I work or how good the show is. It's totally God's control. It's just who's watching and what mood they're in. And that's beyond my abilities. So like that's why I was like, you know what? If I give this away, I'll take care of me. I'll take care of me. So, and sure enough, hours later, I get someone throwing that at me. That's very cool. Very cool indeed. I'm going to take 1 or 2 more calls because I'm having a good time. So, we'll see if people get through. I should call back this person who called like 16 times in the last 20 minutes. We'll see if they call a 17th time. We'll see if that happens. I felt so bad watching those women though. No? Didn't you guys? 17th time.
Call from
Sassy.
Oh, there you go. Sassy made it. Beautiful.
Oh my God, I got through.
Oh my God, Sassy got.
I've only been trying for like 2 hours.
Well, I'm so glad you got through. I'm so glad
Well,
you did.
thank you. Listen, I am a 62-year-old woman who has something to say on these little girls looking for the men. And all the mansplaining was making me a little irritated. So that's why I wanted to call.
So you're here to yell at me.
I'm not going to yell at you, but I think that a lot of the younger generation have this idea that, and I shouldn't throw out my own generation. A lot of women in general have this idea that in order to be a complete person and successful in life, you have to have a boyfriend or a husband. And not that I don't agree and would love to have that, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And in my case, I own my own home. My car's paid for. I have money enough to travel. And this is just on retirement. This is, I mean, Social Security. We're not talking a fancy paycheck here, but it has to do with what you do with what you have as opposed to what you have. But because of my situation, I've had for the last 20 years, men tell me, you get to know them really well and they love coming over to your house and you've created this oasis and you're a good cook and everything's going well. And they say, yeah, but you don't need me. I've heard it over and over again. You don't need me.
Okay.
And I get it. And in my circumstance, I was a single mom, so I had to create all those things just to get my son through life, which I did. And he became a sergeant in the Marine Corps and then got married and had 3 kids and found out today there's 1 more on the way. They own their own home and their own cars and, we're doing things the best we can. But I think that learning to love yourself and knowing that you are enough might take the energy out of the desperation energy out of the air for some of these young women. 7 years, it's not going to happen for me. Honey, I'm 62. I'm not married. I've had some interesting and lovely relationships along the way, but nothing just ever gelled. Right. And the biggest complaint from the men that I've had even lengthy relationships with is that, you've got it all together. You don't need me.
So they feel as if they feel. So what I'm gathering from that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm gathering from that is they feel like Captain Dunsel, that they have no function in your life, and accordingly, they don't want to become a permanent part of your life because of that. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. And
Okay.
and they feel like they're being emasculated in a way,
Right.
although that's not my intention, because
Right.
trust me, if there's one thing I appreciate, it's some heavy duty masculinity.
Well, kudos to you for admitting that.
That's probably the most attractive thing, that and a sense of humor.
Yeah.
But it's their own inadequacies or what they've been fed growing up that's messing up their heads just as much as what these young women have been fed.
Well, okay. Is that I actually think the male need or the male desire to take care of his mate. I don't think that's a product. I think that's more nature than nurture. I think
I agree. But I agree, and yet I just don't think the women. I think everybody needs to grow up a little bit in the whole scenario.
right. Right. If in other words, if you're really secure, then you don't have to worry about the fact that the question is this. Here's I love this. I love this topic, and I love how you're broaching this, Sassy. Okay. There's two things here. Okay. One is with respect to these specific men that you're talking about. They could look at it as that they're intimidated by your ability to stand on your own feet. That's one level. Another could be that they're not feeling sufficiently functional. So it's not that they're intimidated. They just feel as if they're not fulfilling their own need to take care of someone. So it's not that they're intimidated. It's just that they're feeling like they're not, their needs are not being met because part of their needs is to take care of someone.
To be needed.
Right.
To be needed.
Yes.
Exactly.
So it's not a matter that they're
100%.
insecure or immature. It's a matter of that they just are not having their needs met because you're just happen to be too self-sufficient.
Right.
So
and in my case, it wasn't my choice. I wasn't being forced to do that. I had a child, and my first responsibility was to that child. And if his father wasn't going to be a responsible human, then it was all on me. So
I want to ask you a couple of questions because I'm very curious here.
Sure.
Okay. Do you feel like you need a mate to be happy?
I think it would be nice. I find it wonderful, but at 62, I'm not going to expect it.
Right.
Because at this point, I'm beyond the dating game. I'm set in my ways, you know. Yes,
But
I'm going to use butter, and no, I'm not going to drink coffee, and we're going to watch this show at this time or forget about it, you know. I mean, I'm set in my ways. You know, if you want to come along for the ride, we can have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. I haven't been able to depend on anybody, depend on a man or a partner for, you know, housing, food, anything other than great conversation or sex for years.
Right.
You know, I've had to carve out my life myself. And sure, it would have been nice when I was a kid. I'm old enough that when I was a kid, on my high school, what job do you want to be when you grow up? Saying I put down a housewife and mother.
Right.
Of course, it didn't end up that way. And I'm not complaining because listen, I had a great life. I've traveled all over the world. I have worked for and hung with and made friends with some of the most famous people, and you would just die if I mention names. And I've done all these wonderful things and worked all these great, interesting jobs. And I was a teacher for a while for gang kids, and you know, done some really interesting things. I have no complaints about my life whatsoever. But the point I wanted to make was, over and over and over in my life, I have heard from the men I would have considered spending the rest of my life with, you don't need me.
Yeah.
Enough. You know.
But I want to just contrast your situation. One dramatic contrasting element
Okay.
for between you and these women. It's I believe that a large part of our driving force is our legacy. And by legacy, I mean the term legacy, and I mentioned this on Locals a couple times. I'm not sure, I might have mentioned it here, but if I did, it's probably at least a year. Legacy has three different definitions in a legal term. Legacy can refer to your children.
Yeah.
It can refer to money you leave behind for others, and it can refer to your reputation. Those are the three definitions of legacy.
Right.
And all three of them refer to basically what imprint you are making on this world that will last beyond the number of your days. That when you're gone, there's an imprint that's been left by your existence.
Yeah.
And I think that every one of us works towards at least one, if not three, of these legacies. And if you're not working towards them, you're not going to be happy. Like, you have to feel as if you're making that legacy, even if you're not thinking about it in that context of this is my legacy. But those types of things that create a legacy, whether it's the children, whether it's money, or whether it's having an imprint of reputation being, it could be benefiting other people, like that legacy that you were someone who helped society, that a lot of people find fulfillment from that. But all the sense of fulfillment we have from life is not from going to parties. It's not from going to on having a fun boat ride. All the things that actually give us a sense of fulfillment can be broken down to one of those forms of legacy. The difference between you and those women, first and foremost, is they have a child who is
right.
So that changes everything for you, as far as what you're looking at for the rest of your life. Because this woman who's crying that she's waited 7 years and hasn't found anything, she undoubtedly does not have that scenario. Or the other woman who's, both of them, I would be very surprised if either of them have any children. And in that sense, they're sort of left like recognizing that, hey, I might not ever be able to build that portion of my legacy. And yes, it translates as far as having a man around or someone that's making them happy in the short term. But there's what's cutting on some level is that they don't have that sense of fulfillment in working toward a legacy. Because even if you're making tons of money, which could be referred to as legacy, if you're not leaving it behind to someone that you actually, it's offspring of yours, that feels empty too. So
exactly.
So what you're basically, so you already, God bless, you sort of can see your line of legacy through your son and whatever offspring he has. But these women don't have that. So their desperation, so the desperation level is going to be it's going to be exponentially higher than yours. Where you might feel like, it'd be really nice if I had someone to hang out with. I'd be happier if I had someone who loved me, who I loved them, and loved and respect, and had that healthy relationship. But you're not going to have that same desperate need because you already have so much of your legacy already established.
And that's what I was saying, that they come off desperate.
Yeah.
And
they are desperate.
They have that aura of desperation, even if they've got, great success for their job.
Right.
Because it's not all about the job.
It's not at all about the job. The job is so forgettable. And that's why it's so sad. Part of what's so sad about this is that they invested so much of their efforts and time and work towards something that is so utterly meaningless in the long-term perspective of things. Of building a career, because at the end of the day, if you're a lawyer, a dude who's a lawyer, very few lawyers are actually changing the world. There's no case that I ever handled that it's like, oh, my involvement here is something that's, anyone's ever going to remember 10 years later. Now, this case that I'm handling is potentially different. This case that I'm handling now is potentially different. I recognize that. Yeah. I'm saying before this case, any other the commercial litigation cases I handled, anyone else could have handled them also. Could have done, similar. They would have expressed it a little differently, but there's no imprint there. That is part of what I like about this case, is that it is a chance for me to actually, have a legacy. I feel like I've already thank God I'm blessed as far as having a legacy and offspring. But yeah, this is a different kind of legacy that like I can actually potentially do something here which would actually be benefiting society, which would be remembered. And that's a powerful motivator as far as like, wow, I can really have an impact, an imprint on the world. So
yeah. And these guys are still so young that they may not even recognize the quality of legacy that
they definitely don't. They don't.
Yeah.
No one ever sat them down and explained that to them. They don't understand
Right.
it, and they don't even realize that that's what they're looking for. They think they're just looking for the happiness of having a man, a love relationship, and the Disney, the Disney girl, and guy who just were born to be together type of thing. But
yeah,
that's what they think they're looking for. But I don't think they realize that part of the motivation for that on an intrinsic level is that need to have that because otherwise it would just be if and here's the thing as far as these relationships and these alternative relationships, which I question, I wonder, I really wonder about any relationship. And I'm not passing look, is it possible that there are exceptions? I don't know, maybe like I'm thinking whether it's a homosexual relationship or I'm talking about a long-term happy relationship. Like at a certain point, my question is this, and I don't know the answer to this, but I do question this, and I'd be happy to hear from someone who perhaps is gay and is a long-term relationship. So I'm not telling you what your life experience is. I don't know.
Right,
but,
right.
But I do question, like, because I see so many now, it's become so in vogue with them to try and like adopt children and build legacy that way.
I have to admit, with the divorce rate amongst the LGBTQ plus whatever it is community, as high as it is, why anyone would want to subject children to that. But that's because I'm conservative.
That's a little afield from where I was going to go with this, because my question was this. And to be fair, I want to be completely like intellectually honest here. Okay, if you're talking about any individual who's incapable, let's say, of having children, right? And now you have this relationship. I wonder if the fulfillment has the capacity to reach the same level if someone is incapable of ever having children, because part of that unifying factor of we're building this legacy together is part of that sense of fulfillment. So my question is, does it not become like the same awesome boat ride day after day after day when you're in a relationship that doesn't have the ability to build that type of legacy? And it doesn't necessarily have to be your own children. I guess adopting children they sort of become your own children, and in that sense,
absolutely.
But
absolutely.
But when I'm wondering, like those people who decide that they're going to be childless, or those people who are incapable of having children, either because of the nature of the relationship they're in, or because of biology, or whatever it is, I'm very curious about this, and I think I want to explore this another night because it's a little late to start on this topic. My question really is does it not become, even if it's a phenomenal person that you feel like everything with them just clicks perfectly, does it not become just an existence which is lacking in that fulfillment? Because you, or where it's like basically like going to like on a boat ride that's an amazing boat ride every day, or living in the most fabulous mansion on earth, but it's like, okay, but then what? Okay, but then what? You know what I'm saying? Like I wonder about that.
Two of my best girlfriends, who are the same age as I am, have never been married and never had children.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one that did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear them say, "Oh, I never wanted kids. This is fun. Everything's great." But then a lot of times they're crying on the phone because they're lonely and they don't have anybody to leave their stuff to. And to me, that betrays their happy face.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So you know, it's a personal choice, and I'm sure somebody could be perfectly happy that way without any negative experiences at all. I'm not one of those. And
But I question whether you can be perfectly happy like that. That's my real question. Or whether it's a fun existence rather than a happy existence. And those are two very different things.
Right. Definitely. I don't have an answer for that, because I definitely know that I'm more family oriented than that.
Right.
You know, if I didn't have my son, I'd probably be a pretty miserable person.
Right.
I really enjoy being a grandmother. I can't tell you how wonderful grandkids are. Now that your daughters are going off and getting married.
Yeah. Well, I'm blessed to have 3 grandsons.
Oh,
So,
cool. Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. My daughter is married 4 years and has 3 sons.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you get it.
Oh yeah.
It's like the best time ever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Are you kidding me? They're around just enough, and then it's like, okay, this was fun. Let's do this. Let's do this again. Like really soon. Like next week is fine. That'd be awesome. Just not the rest of the day. you know. So yeah.
And my oldest is only she's going to be 7 next week, and all the rest are boys, and they're all little, and you know they're boys.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say. They're boys.
Yeah.
They're dirty and sticky fingered and get into the fridge, and you know, and it's really nice at the end of the day to roll them all up in a ball and send them home to mom and dad.
Well, I will tell you this: Lady Lawgic is different from me on that. Where she's like, no, I would spend every day, every minute, every day with all of them. Like she's like, she's just like. I mean, I always tease her that her favorite in the family is whoever is newest. So it's like,
yeah.
So whoever came along newest is the one that's like her favorite, which she denies altogether. But anyway, this was a great chat. I appreciate hearing your perspective, Sassy.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to get a woman's point of view.
I'm glad. Sometimes I'll have call-in shows and it's all women. Tonight it happens to be all men. But it is what it is. It's a complete roll of the dice. I really appreciate you calling in, Sassy.
And as for the hamburger thing, I'm convinced
that's a troll. She's trolling. Yeah, I think so too.
Nobody
if she's
that
not
stupid.
Right. And if she's clever, she'll like sort of say, ha ha, got you all. Like in response to the hate that she's getting. That's like the best.
Oh that's not how they work. She's just gonna sit there and laugh.
Maybe. And put out another one to sort of see if you can troll again, like those parody accounts. Could be.
The trolls love the negativity.
Oh,
That's what they feed on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
And listen, I wanted to say thanks to the diggers out there that were willing to revolt if I didn't get to call in. They were very supportive in the chat.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Thanks so much.
Have a good night. Take care. Thanks so much, Sassy.
Keep up the good fight. I'm following every day.
Later, Sassy. All right. I've been here now for 3.5 hours. I did not expect this show to run nearly this long. I think it's time for me to start wrapping up here. Pardon my mansplaining, but her picker is broken. She's breaking men that feel they need you to need them. Like I said, I think that it could be that's just a natural guy thing. It really could be that. It's that simple. New York Code S10 defines an offense as a violation of any law of this state. Why doesn't the Trump team point this out? The judge wants to make criminal offense, including federal election law. It's worse than that. They basically say anything that you think is a crime. Like if you think he's falsifying records for something that he thought was a crime, even if it wasn't a crime, that's enough of a violation. And it doesn't matter what crime. You could have one person in the jury thinking that it's one crime, another person in the jury thinking it's another crime. That's how they want the jury charges to be read. This is just like, it's gross. But this was really a legal question that should have been addressed long before the trial, like a long time ago. I actually read somewhere that there was a failure for them to raise some of these issues, questions of law, in a timely fashion. I do not know that to be the case. I know I read it somewhere. So I'm not saying it's factually accurate, but that would preclude them if they didn't raise these issues timely. I don't know that that's the case, but yeah. Providing for someone is not the same as being needed. Self-sufficiency is fine, but how does she engage? Would she rather stay home than be taken out? Does she support him in his career? I don't know. These are fair questions. Do you think that the ability to have a child is a wrench in the mix of the culture? Look, I do think that, like I said, I think adoption is actually, and it can be pretty much the same thing. I do think that adoption could really, because I know, like, for a lot of adoptive parents, just because the kid's not biologically yours doesn't really change anything to them with respect to how they look at their kid. So in that sense, it's like, no, that is my kid. I don't care if someone else, they popped out of someone else's womb or whatever. So I think adoption is an amazing thing for both parent and child, potentially in a healthy situation, obviously. So I was really, when I was talking about that alternate lifestyle or people who can't have kids type of thing, I'm really trying to just flesh all this out in my own brain, because it's not something I think about very often, to be honest with you. But I enjoy these conversations about relationships and like finding our own happiness. So maybe I will start exploring this on a more frequent basis. You learn to find fulfillment in other ways once you're confronted with a huge social stigma against men willing and able to adopt. Once you're confronted with the huge social stigma against men willing and able to adopt. Is a social stigma against being willing and able to adopt? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Barracuda. Are you referring to a gay couple, or are you talking about a dude taking on someone else's kid? So there's a social stigma if, like, your woman had a child with someone else. Now there's a social stigma to taking that child on. Oh, worth saying another isn't. I don't know. Yeah, no, I think that adopting is potentially an amazing thing. It really is. And I say kudos to those who do. All right, I'm gonna land my plane here because I'm getting kind of tired. I'm getting kind of worn. If you don't like what you're attracting in men or women, reflect why that is. Includes if you don't attract anything. Be harsh with yourself, then get her done. It's funny, when you were talking to me, Master Phillips, I was going to actually share with you that I was literally the opposite. When I was single, I was literally the opposite of that woman. I was talking to you about, drawing in your target market and thinking what they were. I literally spent so much effort in trying to figure out my target market. What are they looking for? How do I become that? Like, and I changed so many things about how I conducted myself, my personality, that I became like really, and then I started almost becoming like a little bit of like a player, where I was like, all right, let me just make sure that the fly is drawn to the honey, and then I'll figure out whether or not I want them. But the first things first is, it's like I sort of was like my way of controlling the situation, that if my personality is the type, because I do think there are certain people that have a personality where they're much more likely to be able to gel with a large range of people than if they are to be attracted to a large range of people. If you sculpt your personality a certain way, you're far more likely to be attracted to a large number of people, which means that if they're going to find you attractive, then you're more likely to have your choice as to who your mate is. So I basically decided that the way to do that is to focus on, okay, what are they thinking? What are they looking for? And once I'm fitting into that mold, then I can basically decide afterwards, what do I think of them? And whether or not I wanted them. So, yeah, that was literally the opposite. She was where that first woman that we were looking at, where her perspective is like, I have everything that I value. Why don't they value me? Anyway, wrapping up here. True story. When I was a kid, all I wanted to be growing up was a dad. When I realized I was gay, I was found with adopting. Men applying for adoption doesn't go well. Oh, that's what you meant. Oh, so that's the social stigma you're referring to. I get that. I hear you. I hear you. Could be that it's interesting you're saying that, because I'll tell you right now, that was when I was growing up, that was a big thing to me also. I really want to be a dad. I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to have kids. But so I definitely can relate. I can relate to that innate hunger. I think you can tell that from the nature of the show that I do, where it's I have a great need to express. I try to cogitate and come up with things that I think make sense and can help people, and I have a great need to express that, and try and put that out into the ether, which is a large part of the motivation as to why I want to be a dad. So, so I was like, I think I conceptualize things in ways that not many people can, and I can express it in ways that not many people can. And if I could help influence people that way, that will make me happy. So, I guess I'll tell you right now, doing this job, it makes me happier than any job I ever had before. It's not even close. It's not even close. Like, this feels like I feel like I'm doing my purpose. You guys make it happen. So I thank you all for joining. If you can please like and subscribe, I would be appreciative. That's the part of the show I hate the most, is actually pitching and asking people to do stuff like that. But they tell me if I don't do it, no one realizes that they're supposed to. So while you're here, hit the like, the subscribe. Let me do a double check on the ghetto. You guys, did I miss anything in the ghetto? Are we good in the ghetto? Where's my ghetto chat? And Doug hitting up. Oh, Jake Castro, now a monthly supporter. Finally. Good to see you, Jacob. Thank you, brother. Thank you. The ghetto denizens. The ghetto denizens. Did I miss anything else? Very good. Yeah, we got them all. Okay. Quick check on locals. And I'll tell you, it's that time again. But I just remind you, because I have to, I told you I need to influence the world in a positive way. And right now, the most positive way I can influence you is just remind you, I don't care how hungry you are. Roaches. It's even in the word. Don't eat the bugs. Good night, my friends. See you all tomorrow. Probably on Locals, goodlogic.locals.com, but not promising. Maybe. Goodlogic.locals.com. Good night. Volt speed.